And we're live. Brilliant. And everyone's in their right place. Hello. Welcome to Eaters of the Earth. It's the strange science fantasy twisted tale of doom and gloom, but maybe just a sliver of hope snatched from the jaws of defeat. We'll see, won't we? We'll find out today. Right. As always, we do need to thank Freehold Games for something which is Eaters of the Earth is inspired by the video game Caves of Cud. So thanks to them for allowing us to use their setting. Just getting a message from Harry telling me he's here. Harry, it's good to see you here. There was some possibility of him being here late, but he's not. So there you go.
It's a good joke, wasn't it? Do you like that joke?
It's a great joke, you know, and it's even better that I'm sharing it on stream. I was just confused.
Like to have fun here.
We like to, yeah.
Tell.
We like to play around a bit with the form. Anyway. I don't have any notes or anything. The only one was going to be that Harry's joining late. Should we just get straight into the recap and get cracking? Cool. So, last time, in the aftermath of Ilek's magic, you watched under moonlight as Sethnet administered his own blood as the cure to the Shale Plague. In the morning, Sethnet showed the Oseth that the cure appeared to have worked and spoke of the conflict with the Thypians to come. He then had Kimachet administer the punishment of prizing upon the knight Basuk and the elder Rodum for attempting to interfere in Ilek's ritual and strip them of their ranks as well in a rather gruesome display. Barnelect butchered the animals you'd rode here with, and amidst a better meal than what's the Oseth had in a long time, Sethnet administered his blood to some of the rest of the community. It's something that will take a while, of course. You can't bloodlet all the time, otherwise you'll just die. To immunise them against the Shale Plague. Can I just get a who amongst the party also took Sethnet's blood? You two, and not Aelia and not Caridia. Interesting, great, good stuff.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum over here.
Mm-hmm.
The two genders.
Yeah.
It's a statement. It's a statement.
You also saw that overnight Sethnet's body had undergone something of a transformation. He was now, his carapace was now tinged with this crimson hue, and Alien, I think some others of you kind of walking around the community, talking to people, just keeping an ear out for the social dynamics here, heard people talking of Yalmok, a red-boned Oseth deity whose totemic insect was the dragonfly. And you perhaps saw the seed of maybe a new religion, a new story, a new faith, who knows, starting here. At midday, Behel soldiers arrived at the mountain bank periphery of Asiro, escorting a man you came to know as Halbush, the Watcher, who is one of the wizards who form the ruling council of Behel. Meeting with Ilek, Halbush brutalized him in front of the assembled Oseth, and after Ilek's body restored itself, Ilek, your group, and Kimachet, as a representative of the Oseth, entreated with Halbush, who discussed the matters at hand. The politics got a bit dense for a moment. I do apologise for that. I was slightly rushing because we were running out of time. To recap some of the details here, you learned a bit about the current political situation in Behel. The council, which is composed half of wizards and half of merchant lords, is split on how to respond to this approaching Thypian army. The messengers Behel have sent out to them have not returned, and the split is whether to basically surrender to the Thypians, who are a larger, more experienced military force, or to shore up the city's defences and try to defeat them if they do attack. Of that split, all but one of the wizards, including the Tuildar, which is the city's ruler, and a merchant lord named Gu, are on the side of defending the city. The wizard Dejib, who you found out is originally from Thype, and the merchant lords, who get much of their trade from Thype, are on the side of surrendering. The side in favour of defending is currently the marginally larger faction, but only by one member, which means that if Ilek's deception, where he has replaced himself with on the council with his homunculus Nuch, who looks exactly like him. If that is revealed, things get very precarious. In terms of council voting, you've got a split that is dead down the middle, and then things might get a bit more messy than people would like. Ilek explained to Halbush that the Oseth could cure the Shale Plague that also has a grip upon Behel, but only in exchange for food, asylum in the city, and on the grounds that the city defend itself against Thype rather than surrender to it. This last concession was a twisting of the truth by Ilek, but Kimashet there did not interfere and correct it. You saw it as more within Oseth interests than not. We ended with Halbush declaring that he would take this offer to Behel, tell it only to people he could trust. They want to keep this a bit secret. They don't want to spread around the word the Oseth are on them in case that, that leaks and there may be military complications due to it. We left off with, so they could stay in contact, Halbush holding out his palm and a chrome orb seemingly just falling from the sky into it, which he handed to Ilek. So that's the recap. Has anyone got any questions before we begin? No, we're all good. Great. So,
my internet may have done a little thing.
Harry's internet's done a thing.
Chrome orb falling from the sky.
Mm-hmm. And nothing before that.
That wasn't a graphics error. That actually did fall from the sky.
Yeah, that is correct, Harry. So Halbush extended out his hand, and just from the sky, this small chrome orb fell into it. And I will say, Ailey, who kind of scrutinised this before, you think it looks to be the same object or the same kind of object as the one that Ilek lowered into the earth previously when you headed eastward to Wraith Reach. So yeah, there you go. That all the questions then? Should we get on with the introduction? We're good to go? Cool. I'm going to switch to the map screen just so people have a sense of where we are. And that's all working great. So, you sit now on the mountain bank of the Range of Lions, looking out over Alakvazi. It was less than a month ago that Ailey and Corellia walked down this same slope towards the ancient city of Behel below. And while so much has changed for you, this vista has not. The Zura River snakes its way southward from the Alak mountain range, waters the Bekvi Flats, then comes past the city of Behel. Its walls of sandstone, while well tended at the eastern gate, are cracked and split across the western half. At the city's heart, its venerable tower of wizardry spews the same thin trail of purple smoke skywards, and in the dirt road leading to it, guards of Behel still patrol upon Lizardback. Even the sun is in the same place as it was then. So perhaps anything that Ailey or Corellia is thinking about in regards to this, just kind of being in the moment, you realise how, just kind of it is almost exactly the same moment, same weather, same everything. Maybe not. You don't have to add anything if you don't want to, but
Things aren't the same though. Ailey has advanced what?
Sure, things have changed with you.
What she wants, right?
Yeah. I'm saying that the setting has not changed. You have, but if there's nothing particular that stands out to you.
I just mean, I think that's what Ailey reflects on.
Sure.
The the world stays the same, but people move and change.
Yeah. Okay. So, to narrate things a bit, Halbush and Ilek discuss some of the nitty-gritty of their arrangement. A decision for Setnet to share some of his plague-curing blood to Halbush so that he may take it back. That is decided. And that more should be prepared. In turn, Ilek makes stipulations on Oseth being provided with weaponry and where Halbush can source them. Halbush declares that he's going to tell his retinue of guards who have escorted him here that their families will be the first to be treated for the Shell Plague in order to ensure their silence about Ilek's presence here. They have seen him on the slope. They could talk, potentially. And I'm going to say when you people are scrutinising Halbush here. When he says that, those of you who are of kind of keener insight do detect there is a kind of unshakable confidence to Halbush when he speaks of knowing the actions of his guards. You think maybe perhaps this man known as the Watcher sees a bit more than most. Halbush leaves you with the words that the Oseth should expect a meeting with the Duildar and whoever he's brought in on this plan this evening, which is a harsh timeline with so many other things to prepare for, but all of you can see the crisis approaching you from this mountain bank perch. The Thippian half-legion marches westward for Behel, now close enough that even those of unkeen eye can see them. Their armour and arms wrought of the grey metal of iron catch the sunlight and create a faint glimmer around their colourful banners. The contradiction of the gaudiness and the grim tribulation it represents brings a certain nausea to it, as nervous anticipation of the reality before you begins to just slowly creep up your back. They are less than 3 days from Behel now. Is there anything that anyone wants to do in regards to Halbush or Ilek before he leaves? No pressure to. I just want to make sure you've got your opportunity.
I would like to lurk near him and see if I can scope him out a bit better psychologically.
Okay.
Is that something I can do?
Yeah, you've got a sense. You can give me an insight check. You've got a sense of him before, but is there anything particular you're looking for to gauge about this person's personality?
So, I think previously Ailey made a mistaken jab at his sense of honor, where she had read him as someone whose pride would lead him into some kinds of shows of humility, and he didn't seem to jive with that. So I want to read him a bit better and like what makes him tick. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to.
Sure. Give me an insight check. Give me an insight check.
I roll a 9, which plus my 7 is 16.
Okay. I mean, I think having listened to this person for a while, I mean, pride is definitely a quality of theirs, but you think that it isn't. It isn't without integrity. This person might be proud of who they are and their ideals and sense of self, but it isn't without any obvious hypocrisy or self-serving. They hold themselves to a standard rather than just kind of hold themselves over others, you think?
But he's also disdainful of others, right? Like it was very striking to Ailey that despite those traits that she thought she'd recognised, he was sort of openly dismissive of Ilek and her companions.
So you think, in regards to Ilek, you think that Halbush is furious at Ilek's deception, which you gauge maybe he already suspected. It's more that he fucked around with politics. And it's worth bringing in mind, I mean, you don't know if this person knows the details of what happened in Wraithreach. It may be that he believes that Ilek is the sole instigator of this crisis. I mean, in a certain sense, he can be. So I mean, I would say that's where the kind of the contempt comes from, as you put it. But it isn't one of like, I'm better than you. It's just this person transgressed in a moral sense.
Okay, cool.
Does that answer your question? Anyone else doing anything? Or
Does he seem like a military man, or does he just seem like a wizard?
Give me a. I'm going to say, because you don't really have much experience with military people, I'm going to say give me an insight on disadvantage.
Oh, am I still exhausted?
You are, but that's just double disadvantage, so it does nothing. You only can get a disadvantage once, so you don't need to roll 3 dice and pick the lower.
It's a 9.
You don't know. This is a lot of this is going over your head. Military matters is something very outside of your social experience.
Shannon and Corellia alike. Okay.
Yes.
I still think I want to pull him aside for a little chat, please.
You want to pull Halbush aside?
If I can.
Okay, I mean, this person is about over twice your weight, but you can certainly...
Not physically pull, it's a phrase, you know what it means.
Yeah, I know, sorry. Right. I mean, okay. If Carillia gets up to try to like make the kind of movement to pull this stuff aside, he's going to kind of excuse himself and begin to walk down the slope.
I'd like to use my psychic to tell him to wait in his mind.
Sure. So you're using telepathic message. Okay.
That's the one.
Okay. He will just respond then that I have more important matters to attend to. Just keep it simple, and he just walks down the slope and waits there for a while. If nothing else happens, then Elec will return with all of you.
Because everyone in your game is such a dick.
I mean,
Be a nice character, Liam.
And you can still talk to this guy telepathically. Like, in a certain sense, you can force this person into a corner, but he doesn't, you showed up to a meeting.
That's a good point.
Your main contribution was to punch the guy he was talking to.
Punch Elec, yeah.
Halbush's current...
Which is something they have in common, though. Right? Surely he's like, oh, this girl's cool.
Common goal.
Yeah.
Regardless, his current perception of Carillia is that she's a bit of a, perhaps, interference more than anything else. But a minor one.
Okay, wait, what species is he? He's not... He is human?
Yeah, I mean, he's a mutant human. He's got some tumours and blemishes and things
where's he
aren't where
from?
they normally would be.
He's from Behel. Behel.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say in his mind, I don't like to be dismissed so readily. Behelian? Behelian? Whatever they call people from Behel.
Sure. Behelian, I guess I hadn't actually thought of it. Okay. Perhaps we'll just reflect on this for a moment and say, I have no interest in being rude. I just wish to deal with the matters at hand with all of my focus.
That was polite.
He's saying this out loud?
No, he's saying this. You said it telepathically, right? So he'll just respond telepathically. He doesn't seem thrown off by your telepathy. Neither was Elec. You suspect that wizards kind of, just end up meeting espers and so on and get, kind of get used to it.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to continue talking to him then.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to say while Carillia is doing this, sitting on the mountain bank, Elec has gone back up, spoken to Sethnets, arranging for kind of a vial of blood. Elec has, containers he can provide. Barney, Ailey, Kemashet, what are they doing?
Fuck all.
Fair enough.
We're arriving in Behel, right?
No, you haven't gone to Behel. You've just sat on the mountain back before Osiro, and Halbush has not invited you back by any means.
I'm going to approach Halbush. I do have an offering to make him.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Elec has gone to speak to Sethnet, so you're free to approach him. Sam, what's Barney doing? You see your friend or companion, Ailey, begin to walk down the mountainside.
I think he just kind of watches as if to go like...
So you're just sitting next
like,
to Carillia. I'll say that Kemashet heads up the slope and speaks to, Sethnet is... How have matters proceeded? Are they in our favour? And we could just narrate that Kemashet, discusses what's transpired here. Rather than...
Sorry, yeah, I was drinking Coke.
No, I know, I can see.
Explain. I'm not gonna narrate the loss. But yeah.
Shanna, what's Carillia saying to this person?
I want to ask him, how much is it you know of the Oseth?
Not much beyond the stories you hear of the reaches from Gnur. How much is it you know of the Oseth?
I know that they're proud people. They won't give up easily, but they're not exactly in the best position to be fighting 300 people? 3,000 people? How many was it?
Well, the soldiers assembled that you saw previously was a half legion, so 2,000 soldiers. You haven't counted the soldiers coming this way, so you don't know if 2,000 are coming back. But yeah.
I don't know if they're in any position to be fighting a fuck ton of soldiers.
Regardless, this is the position they find themselves in. Your friend is approaching me. I will talk to them now. I think he tries to. You can tell he's trying to cut off the conversation with you. Ailey approaches Halbush. His guards kind of step forward a bit. Spears held at their side. No, they're not threatened. You appear to be just a monk with a staff, but there is definitely a sense that don't come too close. Keep your distance.
Ailey is performatively docile.
Sure.
In order to sort of be like, oh, would you fear such a tiny waif?
Yeah, fine.
Kind of thing. And she says, "Wizard, you intend to fight on the battlefield?"
Me myself?
Your city.
In such that the battlefield and the city are the same thing, but I myself.
You expect a siege?
The walls of my city are broken. They will come through them. A siege is not something we have the luxury of having.
In what condition are the walls of the city? How badly broken are they?
I mean, from where you are looking northwards, you can see a fairly significant crack in one of them. These were left unrepaired for hundreds of years, and so some of them have just fallen apart.
Are we talking
southwestern
like kind of craters in them, or like?
No, it's not craters. It's literally just that the
or...
mortar has fallen apart and been chipped away by time and so on, and it's just fallen apart in some places. Probably the most significant crack is kind of southwestern part of the wall, about 10 meters wide. So that's the most prominent one. Most of them are kind of small cracks and structural weaknesses that could be exploited, or kind of parts where the wall kind of dips. There's like a V broken into it that you could quite easily climb over. This southwestern one is probably the most significant.
And Ailey says, I could, with some difficulty, aid the condition of the walls. If you would prefer to fight a siege.
He kind of looks at you. I will say, Ailey, there's a lot of weathering on these walls on the western side. It's only the eastern gates where the merchants pass through that is maintained. So it could potentially kill Ailey to repair the entirety of the walls here, I will say.
Well, it's Ailey's belief at least that she could, and mine too, that she could at least block like the large holes in the walls.
Sure. He's going to scrutinize you. I think I already rolled to see if he recognizes your staff. You are who are you? Monk? You are apprentice to Ilek, or?
I serve my own master, and Ilek is. I consider him a colleague. And I say, will you warn your soldiers?
Of this,
I will do something they don't expect.
I can speak with who I am returning to about this repairing of the walls. Spread the word. I'm not keen to expose Ilek's deception quite yet, but so I would ask you that you be wary. How many years have you practiced magic?
I have been practicing for 8 months and 3 days.
He kind of laughs, like a big kind of Perhaps it's
and I say, if you would warn your soldiers.
I will do what I can. Perhaps it is best if you speak to Ilek, someone of more experience in magic matters before you try such things.
Is there any technology present that I can see?
He has a so just to run over again, very kind of strong, well-built guy, quite wide, very kind of angular face, kind of long hair tied back with a gold band. He does have this circlet of what appears to be just perfectly polished silver around his head, and I will say that you think that is technology, given that the gold band is a mortal piece of jewellery that holds his hair back. So you think this circlet around his head is something potentially magical, or at least something crafted by something magical, given how immaculate it is. Although it's very plain, I should say. It is just a band of silver.
I'd like to speak a word of command, and just raise slightly the staff and attempt to cause it to malfunction.
Okay, can I ask how long malfunction lasts for?
It lasts for a minute, or if I dismiss it sooner.
Okay, yeah, sure. He makes is it intelligence save against you?
Yes. If it is is a magic item target cease to have any function. If it's a will-to-bear creature with tech spellcasting, that creature can make an int save to resist the effect.
Okay, he's going to make an intelligence save.
Against my DC.
What's your DC? Oh, clear.
That's a good question.
Well, he got a rather high
Is it rather
number.
good?
He rolled an 18, which means he's, hold on 1 second.
He does beat me.
He's getting a 25 on that, so...
yeah, I mean, it's pretty good.
You raise the staff, so you start to say some words. I'm going to say fairly sharp. I'm going to say that this intelligence save also kind of implies his own thinking about it. With almost a practiced reflex, he immediately begins to bark counter magical intonations to your words, just a couple to kind of throw off what you're trying to do, and then he's going to. Can Ailey give me a acrobatics or athletics check? Your choice.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'd love to. That's is a check rather than a save.
Check.
So that's a 19.
A 19. Okay. He kind of takes a few quick, particularly for his size, steps forward. You kind of leap back. He kind of half goes to grab you, but sees you jump back. But he does pull out what appears to be a rather sharp stone chisel, which he holds in his hand, and just kind of crosses his arms as you kind of step back slightly. I would be careful around Behel, who you use such amateur magic upon.
So Ailey smiles and she says, "You seem spooked to be."
Okay, I'm going to allow him to
by
re-roll.
the words of even a yearling.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to say that's unfair because he didn't recognise it previously. Okay. He looks at your staff for a moment, and you see there's maybe a kind of quizzical look. Ilec's voice from behind goes, "What the... Ailey, you're not being rude, are you?" He's coming down. You see holding a vial of blood. Goes past Corellia and Barney. Kind of... Corellia, Barney, you can go up the mountain slope. I mean, must be a bit uncomfortable sitting here. He kind of goes past. Kind of puts a hand on Ailey's shoulder. Now, play nice. Halbush kind of just slowly puts this sculptor's tool away on his person. 1 second, just got to check my notes. Yeah, and he kind of reaches, kind of looks back to you a bit concerned, confused, not what sure what's hanging on, holds this, hands this vial of Sethnet's blood to Halbush. Please, Halbush, go verify this. I've done good work here. I'm confident that I will hear back from you this evening, as said. Ailey, should we go back? We have much to prepare for.
Indeed. I have been sharing some information. Halbush, I look forward, Lord, to demonstrating more than this child's play.
Okay. All right, I'm going to make a roll here. What's Ailey's AC?
Oh, Ailey's AC is 11.
Ooh, okay.
I think her method of
Sure.
dealing with damage is to just take it in the face.
You take just only 2 points of bludgeoning damage, but there is a flash that I don't think Barnlect and Carillia can give me a perception check, but Ailey Ailey, you don't see this coming. It's basically you're kind of looking at Halbush, and basically he hasn't moved, but something has just suddenly basically just kind of cleanly slapped you across the face. I'm going to roll perception for Ilek as well. Doesn't notice it. What did Carillia and Barney get?
I got 14.
What did Carillia get? And this is on disadvantage because you're exhausted. Yeah. All of you just see kind of Ailey suddenly like flinch her face across and kind of rub it. You feel a little blood on your tongue. Halbush says...
Do I have enough to spit at his feet?
Not quite enough, no. I would watch your tone. You have a lot to learn.
And I say, indeed, I took you not for a beater of women and children.
I fight all opponents equally.
I say, perhaps you are more discerning than I thought. Though we shall see yet.
He turns to go. I don't want to spar with words. If you want us to try to kill each other, then we can do so after this conflict to come. Until then, we work together.
I seek only to help you.
He begins to walk away with his retinue. So, excuse me. At this point, I'm going to say everyone returns up the slope. Over the next few hours, unless there's something anyone's doing immediately, the mechanism of war begins to take a hold in Osiro. Under Kimoshet's direction, knights begin to run drills with those able and willing to fight. Although there's so few weapons of war here that most practice is just with sticks or other kind of long objects they can find. You do see that not that long after, Setnet and Ilek go to retreat to Ilek's tent alone. Is anyone doing anything in particular at this point? You can just kind of, mill about, join join kind of practicing, whatever.
We can have a chat together.
Oh, actually, I will say sorry.
Oh, you go.
Who's having a chat? Just to clarify here. No one? Okay.
Are the gang having a chat?
I thought Shannon said she was going to have a chat. You can chat as a gang. Please, go ahead.
Alright, unmute yourself. Oh, it's fine.
No? Okay, all right. Harry, you're completely muted right now. Oh, there we go.
What is going on? I didn't hear anything.
You haven't heard anything?
Heard Shannon and said like...
Yeah, Shannon's cutting out a bit, to be honest. All right, okay. Are you having a chat as a group or not? Christ alive.
Am I in the chat group?
Please.
Well, I'm not in the gang, really, am I?
Yeah, Kimoshet. I'm going to say Kimoshet is off with Sethnet. You're looking to matters. Kimoshet is coordinating the knights here. You are practicing for a war that is coming in a few days.
Yeah, I'm not having some little.
I'm going to say Ailey, Carillia, and Barnlek just end up kind of together as a trio at one point while everyone is kind of getting into tasks at hand. Do you say anything to each other?
Three Musketeers.
So
how's everyone
I bite my
feeling?
lip and I think about Zurab and his firearms.
Single tear.
I often think about his firearms.
Doesn't.
I'm fucking terrified that we're gonna die, and Sethnet's gonna die, and all these... Oseth are gonna die.
Oh, I'm not going to go into the battlefield. Are you going to go to the battlefield?
Please for you, for me, for everyone. Or... Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Something's going on with the sound.
Sorry,
think
Shannon's
it's been
audio
really
is
bad.
going completely
Yeah.
wrong.
Oh god.
I think at this point, Shannon, I think you need to speak in long sentences because it keeps clipping you when you speak so shortly. Or not say anything. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to say you get together. You talk about the your worries of the conflict to come, and then you kind of all look at each other. And you share a look like we're in the shit, and then you, I guess, part ways or something.
Ailey is surprised at the other two. I guess she's not surprised that Barney is going to be on the battlefield because she's, Barney is a soldier, but Ailey is sort of surprised that Corellia expects to go out and be risked personally. Ailey would expect to be sort of in a Syro or even further away at the time of the battle.
Shannon, does Corellia have any response, or is that just is what it is?
Well, Corellia is used to going into battle with her tribe, so she can be like an on-field medic. So I think she assumes that's what she's going to be taking here.
Well, that's very brave. is what Ailey says.
Can I sense the tone in her voice?
Yes, I don't think Ailey's hiding it.
No, it's sort of praise with the implication that perhaps you should be wiser.
You've known me long enough to know that I won't be, so I'll brew up a new character soon.
Okay.
So if nothing else is said, at one point, I think, Corellia, not long after you've had this conversation, Ilek does take you aside. Kind of comes up, Corellia, can I just a word? He kind of touches his cheek where you struck him. Look, I'm not concerned about injury. I'm sure you're aware, but I would appreciate you to not strike me while I'm in the midst of a rather sensitive negotiation. We do need to work together here, just to be clear.
Look, I may not be as smart as you, but I know there's ways to strike people other than with your fists, and you seem to be taking a few strikes during that conversation.
Right, so, okay. Is that you saying that you're not going to stop striking me in conversations? Because, I mean...
I'm going to retaliate any way I see fit if I see an attack coming my way.
Very well. I mean, good instincts to have in a conflict situation, I suppose. Best of luck to you, Corellia. He just kind of walks off. Sethnet, we've got some things to talk about. Come on.
It's an incredibly powerful move for someone to be like, I wish you wouldn't punch me in front of like people I'm dealing with. And you're like, no. I'll do what I want.
Yeah, Ilek and Sethnet retreat to their tent to talk. In the next few hours, as I said, Keemachet is running drills with the knights and the soldiers and the fighting fit here. Harry, is there anything else you want to do as Keemachet?
Yeah, can I have an assessment? Can I do I don't know how I do this, but a broad assessment of the state of the men?
Yeah, absolutely. Just give me I'm going to say intelligence on advantage, because you have some experience with warfare.
Sorry, this is me getting my dice out.
Punching his dice bag to get them out.
I've packed them really tightly into a holder.
It's great, man. Just roll them.
Oh dear, the best was a 5.
Ugh. That's with your intelligence modifier. Jesus, that's bad.
My intelligence modifier is +1. I got a 4 and a 3.
Okay. You look over. I mean, as I said, the number's 4. You've got about 100 knights who are, are very people who will raise their entire lives training to do poetry and swing a sword, so they're pretty good. And then you've got the fighting fit, of which you have about 300, which means you have who are a lot of the people who survived the Giebis jungle were the soldier casts, people who had a bit of hardiness to them, who knew how to go out into the Giebis jungle and kind of survive there and so on. So a lot of the people you have here have some experience with warfare, and following orders and training and those kind of things, and it's a matter of kind of knocking off the rust. So the numbers in terms of like ability. Yeah, as I say, a lot of these people are competent, and you think looking at them, the ones who aren't competent are kind of making up for it with discipline and rigor. Everything's great. It's going really well.
I'm doing like a General Haig, whoever it was.
You might be.
On the eve of the Somme, aren't I?
I will say that.
Yes, very good, men. All fighting fit.
I will say.
Jerry will be on the run by tomorrow.
An intelligence of 5 doesn't necessarily mean your assessment is incorrect. It might be that your assessment, what you're assessing is so obvious that you can't help but find the actual conclusion. But right. Indeed, who knows?
Early on the run. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Well, in that case, not much more I can do. I'm just having chats with them, making sure they're all okay as much as I can with my idiotic intelligence checks.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that there's everyone who at least knows how to swing a sword.
Lost
and, oh my
Sam.
God, who has gone?
Sam again.
Farewell, Sam.
Sorry, I had to reconnect because it just said it just froze.
So. All right, well, no worries, mate. I'm back now. Hey, Sam.
Can I say the way I would focus this bit would be I'm aware that a lot of these people are not knights. They're not particularly well trained. I am looking for people who can not swing a sword, and giving them, the sort of 5-minute pep talk that Aragorn does in Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. I'm not going to try and do his accent.
To be clear, is this the people who are fighting fit but have no practical experience you're looking for? Because there are a lot of people here who are not planning to participate in the conflict.
Anyone who is going to fight but looks like they have literally no idea how.
Give me a. I'll let you do persuasion or performance to kind of go around and try to inspire people and give. A good talking to.
I wonder which one I'll use. Maybe the one that's +7. Ooh, 25.
25. I will say that Alien, Barnlect, and Carilla, you catch around Keemachet. Begins to kind of defines himself slightly differently to how you've seen him before, which is as a bit of a leader. He goes around. He's to the point, but not in a way that is blunt. He's very quick to kind of, using his kind of sheath sword, kind of knock people's legs and hips and arms into the right position and everything. But everything is, paired with prose and poetry and sayings, and it's laced with the traditions of the Oseth people in such a way that everyone kind of responds to it in a very receptive way. I'm gonna make a note of that. Cool.
I feel so inspired that my disadvantage is gone.
No, you're still tired. You're still tired. Sorry.
Okay.
At a later point, Ilek will grab Ailey. Ailey, could you just come to the tent, please? And actually, Barnlek too. If you is he around here? Barney, yeah. If you could just.
Hello.
Yes. Hello, Barney. Come on. Both of you come to the tent. You do see that. Sethnet is there. He's lying down on a kind of a bedroll and kind of held up with a few pillows, and you see that some tube appears to have been inserted by a needle into his a gap between his plates at the elbow.
Is he dead?
No, he's quite alive, which is feeding blood into a series of small glass jars. Yeah, both of you know what glasswork is, so you're not. This doesn't blow your mind or anything. you come in, you see this. Sethnek just kind of acknowledges you slightly. You see that Lola is here, kind of taking care of the process. He appears to be essentially filling up some things of blood. In the modern era, this would be filling up blood bags to dole out. And I will say, actually, because Grace, you mentioned, is he dead? The Oseth corpse that you saw here previously appears to be gone. Although you can give me a perception check if you want. Either of you.
I will. That's a modified 20.
Modified 20. You see the body is gone. You never saw them take it out earlier, and you think as you step on the ground, you think it might be slightly raised here, and you wonder if you're now walking on where this corpse has been buried. Perhaps a slight disturbance to the dirt, a slight raising of the earth, those kind of things, maybe tip you off. So a few things to discuss. Illic speaks. First of all, Barney, I would, we've been doing things a bit fast and loose, but I will need you in my full employ again, by my side for this battle. You were once part of my retinue. I need you to be part of it again, however small it may be at this point.
Of course, I assumed nothing less.
I trust this is all agreeable to you. I'm happy to continue paying you the same amount I have previously. Obviously, it's only been a few days since I last paid you for a month's wages, but I find myself.
And I took Ailey's wage as well, didn't I?
I think you might have taken. Yeah, I think you did, but I think you said you're taking it for locks later on. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Regardless,
I'm going to ask about locks actually.
This is all agreeable to you, of course. I hope.
Yes, with the continued agreement that you will help me find my friend once this is over.
Oh, I have. I fully intend to help you find locks. Don't worry.
I thought you were going to drop a bomb on me there, Liv. No. I wasn't ready.
No, don't worry, Barney. No, I'm on your side. I told you you'd see locks again. I am true to my word. I will say though that warfare. Sorry. Yeah, you can make an insight check. Either of you.
Can I also make an insight check? I was going to say.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. Oh, it's a good one.
Sorry, Grace. What did you get?
I got in
13. Okay, and Barney got
23.
23. You okay? So Ailey he appears front up. Illic is he had locks at his side. He appears to be keen to have them return. Certainly seems to like Barney a lot. Barney, you think, looking deeper at him, that he is fully telling the truth, but perhaps with grander. You detect maybe grander ambitions behind it than just reuniting Barney with his friend. You think maybe there is some other plan in place that involves finding locks, retrieving locks, that you are unaware of when it comes to Illic.
Okay.
There's a hint of that there.
I'll let it slide for now.
Let it slide for now. Well, brilliant. Glad to have you beside me on the battlefield, Barney. You always bring us good luck, don't you?
Wait, does he know? Does he know?
Who knows? Who knows what he knows?
Also, is my audio still bad?
No, it's better now. It's better.
Oh, fantastic. Good, thanks.
Cool. Now we turn to Ailey. I have a limited experience with your magic. Lox was able to inform me of some of the more dynamic magic you wrought in Wraithreach, but I myself have only been witness to a fairly... Sorry, there's an airplane going past. I hope you can't hear it. I myself have only been witness to a fairly mundane, limited set of abilities. Perhaps it is time for us to talk about what it is you can do and, importantly, what it is you want to learn. I've expressed interest in teaching the ways of magic to you. Indeed, I've given you a small start to the journey, but I have an interest in teaching you further.
But first, you want to gauge
What it is you can
my
do.
potential.
Of course.
Indeed. Can I roll another insight check to see, is this genuine, or is he just sort of asking me to show my cards?
I mean, sure, you can get an insight check. I mean, he might be genuinely asking you to show him your cards.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I'd love to know, but like, there's one where it's like, show me and I'll show you, and there's one that's just like, oh, now I've seen.
Okay,
right.
sure.
That's more like a 19.
19. I mean, he has consistently, he's done things towards teaching you magic. You believe that much is true. In terms of discussing magic, you think that maybe it's actually more about the conflict at hand. He wants to know what you can do, given the, the days ahead, more than anything else.
I'm mostly rolling because it's the sort of thought that Ailey would have. She would be like,
yeah, absolutely, fair enough.
About everything.
Yeah.
So on this basis, Ailey will say, there are the small magics and there are the greater spells, and I cannot, in conscience, risk them without reason. Lox has reported to you, I believe, the binding of a demon. This is within my power. I have other powers also.
The way Lox related wasn't so much a binding as an unleashing, but yes, in a sense.
A demon must be called before it can be set free.
Yes.
Perhaps you have experience? Perhaps not.
There's a member of the Wizards of Behel who has some experience talking with things beyond. But it is not something I am fully familiar with. Certainly not something I've done myself. My domain of magic is more with the flesh and the living, as it were, as you may have been able to tell.
I'm sure your companion, as I must, has told you that if you haven't wrestled in command protocols with the demons, there's really nothing that can describe it.
I'm sure it's exhilarating. Is that the scope of your abilities? To summon something that wreaks chaos? Or
It is not. My master, and she gestures slightly with the staff, my master has granted me a number of powers to...
I don't think Ailey's ever referred to it as her master before, has she, in front of Ilek?
She has never openly referred to the staff as her master, but she's made reference to her master.
Okay.
And she enjoys that ongoing ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's happy to present the staff as a token of her master.
Sure.
She says, my master has granted me powers to grasp, shake, and reform the physical world, and some domain over the powers of others.
Arnie just stands there like this.
Reshape terrain. Now, are there ways that you think these powers could be applied to help with our conflict?
Oh, the walls, for a start, can be repaired. It may be beyond money and time, but it is not beyond the gods. Be they willing. Moreover, I can perform certain operations that reveal the truths to me. Also within my power.
Reveal the truths to you?
It is somewhat hard to explain.
He's going to say on a fairly good insight roll, Ailey, when you say master, who are you referring to?
Ailey says, I carry, and she looks at Barney, and then she makes a decision. He says, I carry here a relic of my Lord and God, and through it speaks to me.
And this is what the thing that speaks to you is what you call your master?
I serve the voice that speaks to me through this divine relic.
Can it hear us right now?
But of course. It's always listening.
He mulls things over for a moment.
Can I invent a power, Liam, on the spot?
Would you want to lie or
No. I'd like to suggest to you a thing that Ailey can do.
Right. Okay.
He places the staff and it just stands upright.
That's pretty cool. Yes, absolutely, you can do that. That's great.
Great.
Can I invent a power?
Only if it's cool.
Be careful, Ailey. I'm not going to be able to be beside your side all the time. And he looks at the staff, putting faith in this thing may not be as rewarding as you might think. And that much I wanted to hear.
Ailey says, my lord has been my most constant companion. I have known no other who has treated me fairer.
Heed my words or don't. He's going to think to himself. Regardless, he does. You see. I mean, you've been scrutinizing him. He does. Your words have affected him. There is a certain weight to how he's behaving now. Kind of having, kind of mid-digesting what you said.
Do I have an option to try and read that?
I mean, that is you reading it, really. I don't think you can tell his thoughts beyond that. Regardless, the matter at hand. So, repairing the walls is something. You say you can shape the lands?
It's not perfectly safe for me, but I can certainly make the attempt.
How not safe?
And I say, you are familiar with the Key of Solomon, I take it.
I think I am the one who told you that name.
Wait, did he not mention that name to me?
He's the one who told you the name Key of Solomon.
And so she says, divine power is not easily marshaled or contained by frail hands.
Oh,
Barney, you can sit down, or you're right. You've had your jaw open for like 5 minutes now. I'm just slightly concerned. Regardless, I mean, that might be something I can help with. Is it something you're prepared to do? That is the question. Will you or will you not?
Very much so. I would not have mentioned it if I didn't intend to pursue it.
And how great an effect can you have? Are you able to repair the entirety of the walls, or
are we outdoors or in a tent?
You're in Ilek's tent. There's people in here are Barney, Ilek, Sethnet, and Lola, and we just lost Sam again.
And not Barney. So Ailey says, the large gap, I will fill it. I shall expend my strength no more on cracks. If they bring siege weapons, the entire city cannot be ringed by my power alone.
Would it be just as easy for you to repair several small cracks as it would to be one large one?
Be they together, yes. But I would rather act once than several times.
Very well. That gives me something to think about. Here, I will explain myself to you. He just kind of using some long thin thing, a stick or something, draws a bit in the dirt of the. Oh my, we lost Shannon this time. Draws a bit in the dirt of the on the dirt here under the tent. And you see kind of marks out a circle, and you quickly pick up. Oh, he's doing Behel as he puts a river that looks like Jura. He puts a line that's like Jura River and where the bridge is of the Eastern Gate. and he puts a line through that circle where that large southwestern gap is. My intention was this: if we unify the Oseth forces with the Behel, we don't stand much of a chance. It's the element of surprise and oh god, lost Sam again. This is getting really irritating.
What is this?
I don't know. I thought Sam had good internet now. Sam, you're right, buddy.
Yeah, sorry, it's because I'm on 4G, so it dips in and out.
Okay, all right. Well, no worries. Whatever, we're fine. He says, surprise is the element which will decide our victory, and it is the utilization of that surprise that is most important. My intention was to have the majority of the Thype, the Thypian forces come through the southwestern gap, and there would be the point where the Oseth and the Behel soldiers would strike them from both sides. That is where I believe we could do the most damage, where our lesser numbers can count for the most, and also the magic of the Wizards of Behel, which will be beside us in the battle, can do the most. We block that hole, they change tactics, they flood the city with smaller groups who come through every gap.
Mm-hmm.
This is my thought. I don't know if you have much knowledge of warfare, but
I have read some histories, but it is not the same. If you do not desire that gap filled, earthworks are also possible. Excavation. If you desire a moat or pitfalls.
Trenches. That is a thought. That can be something of aid, but the Thypian army is highly organised. They will be able to surmount such difficulties with ease, although it may delay them, which is something of value. Mm-hmm. That is something that should be considered.
Do you anticipate magic from them?
Magic? No. Magic is something restrained within Thype. Only certain practices are considered acceptable, alchemy being one of them. That is where our Dejib finds his wonderful talents with substances strange. But magic that would... no, I do not think so. Perhaps a slight alchemy here and there, but nothing significant. Magic will be on our side in this battle.
Out of character, when my spells refer to spells being cast changing the outcome of events, is that only tech spellcasting, or all things that the game rules would consider spells?
No, all things that consider spells, so psychic and tech spells. I will say it's not like, it's not like a firebolt is going to change the outcome of things. It's more like certain, fucky with the time stream, or like, psychic events, those kind of things. Those are the spells that are going to influence the future more than anything.
So we could not predict that they would raise dead and bring him back to life, kind of thing.
Yeah. If they had the power to, blow up the entire city with a nuke or whatever, you would be able to foresee those things. It gauges brute force, as it were. It's the kind of the tricky nuances of magic is what that rule is referring to more than anything.
I see. Okay, cool. Then Eddie says...
So I will say, I'm just checking your rules here. So Architect, the spell we're kind of talking about, only affects a 20-foot sphere, which I don't
actually
believe
did
would...
the calculations. It's a 20-foot radius sphere based on the volume you included.
Radius. Yes. I don't know if that covers a wide enough gap. I'm not sure.
20-foot radius, 40 foot is about 13, 14 feet, 14 meters.
Okay, so that's fine then. Yeah, you would be able to close the large southwestern gap. Sorry, my mistake. I read 20-foot sphere and I didn't do the radius to diameter thing.
Well,
my mistake.
It was unclear. I just, for that exact reason, I calculated, because it mentions how many cubic feet you can do.
Yeah.
So
Sorry. Thanks. Good for you. You can have inspiration, actually, for doing the maths. Anyway, where are we? Okay, so I think Ilek is going to resolve it at... This is a good idea for you to use your magic in this way, but I would bid that you wait until tomorrow, if you can. I hope it does not take you too long to do.
It is the work of moments.
Very well. Then, yes. Wait until then. Wait until we have a better understanding of the relationship between us and Behel, and what I am able to do.
And that, of course, leaves us more time for you to teach me something in return.
Yes. I have a few matters to attend to here with Setnet to ensure his continued health. But after that, return here in... Actually, wait, he wouldn't know where an hour is. Shoot.
So Ailey says,
Give me a while.
I shall wait outside your tent, but perhaps if you were to give me something to study, I could begin to appraise it.
Very well. He... Okay, yeah, he's going to... he gets a gold ring on his finger and kind of twists it off. Kind of holds it out to you. This indicates for you to kind of put it on a finger.
I receive it.
And he goes fishing through a few boxes. Where? Come on. No. And pulls out what appears to be a kind of milky white orb of two halves that appears to be made of a slightly kind of rubbery material. You see that it's slightly indents where his fingers grasp it. Study the ring for now. This, in time, will be your first true test as a wizard. The repairing of this object.
Thank you.
And he hands it to you. Oh, we lost Sam again.
I take it tentatively and I bear it away.
Brilliant. And Barney, trust you can find ways to take care of yourself. Oh.
Yes, I was just going to ask.
Please, yes.
So, fighting at your side and all, I couldn't help but notice your strange rubbery hand.
Strange rubbery hand? No, to be clear, the object he grasped is rubbery. It's not his hand that's rubbery.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right. I couldn't help but notice. Is there anything you can do to help me, handless Barney, in this fight?
Sorry, are you asking me to try to give you a hand, Barney? Or...
I'm asking you to lend a hand.
Right. Well, I see
by
what you did
giving
there.
me a hand.
I appreciate the the sense of humor in trying times. That's good to hold on to that. I will say this much: right now, I don't possess the means to give you a hand without well, I don't want to put it too heavily, but ruin your life quite profoundly. You'd get a hand, but you'd lose quite a lot in exchange. But
absolutely
don't
fine.
worry.
It was just worth an ask.
Listen to me, Barney. I know full well it can be done. I've met people who have regrown limbs. Myself have regrown limbs. It is well within the bounds of magic, and there are. I have witnessed limbs, prosthesis left behind by the eaters that themselves can be, through some magic coaxing, made to interact with the physiology of us lesser mortals. So in time, Barney, stick by my side and I will make you whole again.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, good. I just thought I'd ask, just because just as we were going into fight. But of course, yes, I could. I'll leave now and let you get on with your business.
Please, if you could. Thank you.
And then, as I pass Ailey, just kind of want to just go. I assume I'm keeping all of that on the down low.
Ailey says, quite pointedly, I trust your own discretion, Barney.
I just smile and leave.
Sure.
Ailey does give him just a little smile as he goes.
A little smile as a treat. Okay.
He's won.
He's winning them
broken
over. Brilliant. So does Ailey leave? Sorry, does Ailey leave after Barney, or is that you passing on the way out?
Given the events, I assume that Ailey was just sort of, engrossed in the stuff, walking very slowly. But she's going to go find a quiet place to curl up.
Well, so is Ailey the last person to leave the tent of you two? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, sure.
At that point, if Barney leaves the tent and you're just about to leave as well, Ilek will say, Ailey, and looks to you square in the eyes, more kind of, earnest and focused than he normally is. You need to be careful. You are interacting with something that is fundamentally not your ally. You should understand that much. And you leave with those slightly ominous words.
I think Ailey gives him a silent stare, slightly longer than is normally acceptable in any case.
You two lock eyes, and eventually he breaks it and goes, right, well, I need to tend to set that now. You leave. You go find a quiet corner. Just very quickly, what is it you're doing here? Are you just going to fiddle with these, or are you going to do anything a bit more?
Oh no, natural? I'm going to, if I can, I'm going to just bind the thing to my will entirely.
Oh, brilliant. Sure.
I speak the relevant words of power.
Sure.
And I attempt to region code it.
Okay, you're going to attempt to region code. Are you doing it on the ring or the orb?
How long have I got?
He said in a moment, so it might be only, it might be kind of 30 minutes maybe.
So there's no concentration, and it's a ritual. So I'm going to do the ring and then the orb.
Okay. So I'm going to send you now the rules for the hard light ring.
Excellent. Well, are they separate devices?
They are two separate objects. They're not the same thing. Okay. And you may note that he handed you the orb and said your first job would be to repair this. So I'm sending you the hard light ring rules now. So there you go.
I actually do have a clarification on this.
Oh, yeah.
So the spell, I took it to be sort of like an intuitive learning of the device's properties.
In a certain sense.
Is that lost? If I learn how to operate a device, is that lost when I end the spell?
Yes, I believe you can't cast the spells anymore when region code ends.
How are we flavouring that? Is that the same kind of like temporary writing of knowledge onto the mind?
A little bit. I'm going to explain it.
You've got something for it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you hold the ring. I think you decided to take it off and just hold it in your palm instead. And you say the word. There's a brief rustling of the rings on your staff, perhaps the wind, perhaps some magic working, and a lotus, a holographic lotus, a mandala blooms in your palm around the ring, and then another one within it, and you see a twin circles of glyphs move around the ring, and slowly they interlock. They form symbols that communicate with one another, and slowly, like a key fitting into a lock, it slowly gets every part of it connected, and as it does, information briefly just kind of glimmers before your eyes, and you feel a kind of pins and needles static from the staff that you hold on your side, and you feel how to do something intuitively kind of written into the back of your head. And I will say at this point you understand that you might understand how to cast these spells now, possibly forever, but the unlocking process is the spell that allows you to do so on an intuitive level. So that's why you're going to need to cast the spell every time if you want to do this. So it's sort
of like I only get temporary muscle memory?
It's like you get muscle memory, but it's muscle memory, but the unlocking of the object that corresponds to the muscle memory is what's temporary.
Oh, I see. So like the device has to sort of recognize me. I don't have like the login or whatever after the spell ends.
That's it. You got it.
Okay, I understand. But for the time being, the device is just I own it.
You've owned the system. Right. You've hacked it.
I actually imagine it's like just subjugated before the Key of Solomon, right?
Pretty much, yes. You now have control of this ring for however long your spell lasts.
So now, brilliant.
You know how to use this if you want to. And And I will say, if you do region code on the other one, just for the sake of expediency, nothing comes up. This the inner circle, the inner lotus, does not bloom for this object. You think it is broken, as Alex said. It needs to be repaired before it can work.
Okay. Can I? So I will. Does that mean I keep connection to the hard light ring?
Yeah.
Okay. During my remaining time, I will make a mundane study of the device.
Sure. You can give me a Arcana check.
I'm not proficient in Arcana, so I'm rolling at +1, but I crit. So
Nice. Sure. I mean, you've seen these glyphs. You have a certain, as you say, muscle memory understanding of this thing now. You think this thing is connecting to, I mean, you wouldn't understand what a nervous system is, but your will. You understand that there's a certain amount of reflex involved in physiology. You know, both when you've hunted for animals, you understand that, if the arrow goes in there, the leg twitches there, and so on. There's a certain system throughout the body that causes reactions elsewhere. You think that same system is is how this ring works. Something is connected to your brain, your center, and some conscious twitch within that elicits the magic from this ring. And it's a gold band, but it's split by this thin opalescent line. You think that is where the magic kind of springs from. It's the line itself. The gold is a kind of a housing.
I feel a bit silly because my goal had been to examine the thing I was supposed to repair. But
sorry.
I'll take that unless you want to give me both, because I don't want more information than is fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think repairing the thing would take a bit longer than the time you have.
Well, I didn't mean to fix it. I just meant the fuck is it?
Sure.
But that's cool.
Eventually, you do this. You see Sethnet. If you haven't gone too far from the tent, you see Sethnet leaves the tent at one point. Shannon, what's Corelia doing?
Probably. How much sleeping? Maybe having a sleep, getting rid of that disadvantage.
So it's only you can rest. I don't think you can take more than one long rest in a day. So you can just say I'm resting, as it were. You don't have to be asleep if you don't want to, but you can be.
Yeah, maybe I'm trying to meditate, but I don't really know how it works, so I'm just sitting cross-legged on the ground.
Okay, all right. Well,
my eyes closed.
are you hidden away, or are you just kind of out and about?
Out and about.
Okay, cool. Because otherwise Sethnet would have rolled a natural 1 to investigate and try to find you, and would have failed. You hear some footsteps approach, and you kind of hear someone sit down by your side, and you're trying to meditate, but you kind of maybe peek an eye out, open slightly. You see Sethnet has sat beside you, kind of adopted the same kind of cross-legged pose you're in.
I'm nervous.
Corelia, if we could talk, perhaps somewhere a bit more private.
Stand up for him to lead the way.
Sure. I mean, he kind of just. I think he'll just go beneath that kind of that tree of the blood of Os that you saw before. It's a bit of kind of a ways away from where everyone walks around. It's been a fast-paced few days. We haven't really had much time to talk one-to-one as we did a few times previously when you were last here. A lot of things have changed, and things will change more for my people soon. I hope for the better, but maybe not. But I wanted to ask, should my people prove victorious, and I have every hope that we will. I know my people to be strong and disciplined and great fighters. I wondered if perhaps you would be interested in staying here with my people, with me. Can I ask what is Corelia thinking right now? You can take your time explaining.
What's she thinking? Okay. She's really overwhelmed. She comes from a very close-knit tribe. She really misses her family, and everyone. She's been longing for that like connection since the day she left home. But the reason she left is so she can return. Like, she wants to stay, but she can't. She made a promise to her people. She's just really sad.
Okay, can you give me a wisdom saving throw then? So you think you're going to say no, is that what you're saying, in short?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Just give me a wisdom saving throw. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yep, on disadvantage.
No. It's not on disadvantage. It's just regular. You only got one level exhaustion. That's disadvantage on checks. Saving throws, you're fine.
What are you saving against?
Who knows?
Yeah, what am I saying against?
Are you being...
That's
a what? Sorry.
14.
Okay, great.
14.
What do you say to Sethnet?
Oh, jeez. Gosh. I've been in lockdown, Liam. I forgot how to talk to boys. Okay, so when Sethnet first met me, he gave me a dagger, right?
He did.
Yeah, he did.
I have a dagger myself that I was given to by my people.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take my dagger and gonna hold it out to him, and instead of answering him, can I, with like telepathic message or even just with my psychic powers, can I share like images as opposed to just straight words?
I'll say right now you can, yes.
Thank you. I want to share with him the memory of me being given this dagger before leaving my people, and the extreme feeling of like brokenness I felt leaving them, but the love I felt knowing I was going out to help them and that I'd one day return to them. And then I want to send to him the memory of him giving his dagger to me and how that made me feel. To basically give the sense that, oh geez, I love you, but I can't because I have an obligation. And as a man of duty, you'll understand. Please accept this dagger.
Shannon the feels.
Okay, sure. His
I'm really sad.
his skull, you see in it within kind of the heavy brow of his again a head that looks pretty much like a skull. The eyes water slightly, and he accepts the dagger. He kind of struggles to find words from it. He goes, My admiration for you is only redoubled to know that you have not only acted nobly to my people, but you have a noble cause behind you as well. I understand. He kind of looks over to the Oseth below. I have a people I must take care of as well. I understand.
Yes.
I want to do that Oseth thing where, what was it? They just like touch their foreheads to each other. Is that like the closest form of intimacy?
That's kind of the common form. That's the Eskimo kiss of the Oseth.
What's the level up?
I mean, well, I think you can probably do the maths.
I'm gonna kiss him.
Okay, sure. Yeah, fine. He kind of flinches slightly. This is not. I've seen this done. It's not something that my people.
Shut down again. Okay. Cool.
Thank you, Carida. You will always have a place in our community. If you need
Fuck.
somewhere to come to. He kind of awkwardly walks off a bit.
That's great. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. I'm gonna go bury myself.
Okay. I will say, as he walks down, you just the hair on the back of your neck prickles slightly, and you see he kind of stops for a moment and then just keeps walking.
As an expert, can I make some kind of check to see?
Give me a psychic check.
What the fuck is this?
Is this just? This is just.
This is what
Is this
psychic check is,
disadvantage? It is, right?
right? This is yes, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. That's a 10.
No, you extend your senses out. You don't sense any espers nearby, particularly.
I'm getting good and paranoid. I'm already brewing conspiracy. I think they've given him
Okay,
too much juice, and he's got charisma now.
and he's gonna pee.
Great.
I'm very ashamed about my kiss being rejected, so please move on.
Okay. I'm going to say at this point, Ailey comes back to Ilec's tent, kind of pokes out. Ailey, yes, right, magic. Did you have a look at the this orb and this ring? What did you think?
Ailey takes the ring and she... is there a way to demonstrate the operation of the spell without using a spell slot?
Nah, I think you do. You do actually need to cast a spell.
I'll call up the hard light blade then.
Sure. What weapon do you create?
I create a dagger.
Sure.
Just as demonstration.
This lattice of lightwork forms, and in a second you have a blade of pure white in your hand. Okay. Ilec's eyes narrow for a moment. He kind of looks to you, looks at the rod, and goes, and looks at the dagger. I think the key is
Ailey nods.
Ailey, what? Sorry.
She nods.
I see. Well, this is good in a certain sense that you can understand how something works before you yourself master it. But you should know that the path to magic is not one you can make with someone making the steps for you. You yourself will have to learn how to work these things.
She says, I am no stranger to study, but you wish to know the powers that are available to me.
True. And what did it tell you of the orb?
The orb has not enough spirit in it to be bound and subjugated.
That is good then. That means that it is only you, yourself, who can learn about it. Now, and he begins to take out a few things. You see he opens these wooden boxes and pulls out these, gubbins, essentially, small, cylinders and grooves and washers and all these other small parts. You've never really seen that much the inner workings of magic, but now you get to kind of... First, these things are taken out and you assume these are all individual parts, their own separate entity, but then over the next hour, Ilek begins to walk you through how these things cooperate to become a singular whole. Can you give me an Arcana check as you study under Ilek?
Yeah, I will. I got an 18.
Okay, I'm just going to make a note of this. Cool. Okay. You reach an hour. It's fairly head scratching, but you're kind of having to essentially come at this from a whole different method of thought, as it were. You have a very ritualistic, religious understanding of magic, and this is something that is, still regarded as something divine, but is very much more, tactile and empirical and analytical. But I think Ailey is someone who's very good at scrutinizing things in a certain clear-sighted, objective way, and you are beginning to understand how the mind of a wizard looks at magic, as it were.
I think she's quite systematic, and she is, as she said, she has studied. She studied academically at the temple. They're not magical. She's no stranger to.
Sure. So you've been doing this for about an hour. At some point, a few sounds come up, cries, not of alarm or anything, but word spreads through Osiro that something is approaching. It's very close to evening now. Ilek, kind of hearing this, wraps things up. Say, well, I suppose Halbush has worked rather fast. Hopefully this is him. Shall we go see, Ailey? Kind of offers a hand to help you up.
Yeah, I rise.
And as you exit the tent, we're going to go to break. Just get a bit of water. It's been going well so far. Harry will give you more stuff to do in a moment. Sorry. Anyone who's watching, please stick around. We'll be back in about 10-15 minutes. Bye. And we're back, I think.
Wait.
You're right, Shannon. You can just drink water on the stream. You're right. Okay, brilliant. And we're back. So, where we left off, Ilek and Ailey had just heard a noise beckoning them. Someone or something is approaching Osiro.
Right.
Those of you who gathered, I mean, Kemashet will also be here to see this. You see, let's call them emissaries, come in the late evening. It's getting close to sundown now. It's been about 4 hours, maybe 5 hours since Halbush left. What you see below is 2 carts, which are covered with a dark coloured cloth. And I think Barnlet will recognise these. You definitely see under the leading one sacks of what you suspect might be finger grain. You've seen these kind of Hessian, slightly porous sacks, and you kind of maybe catch the kind of slight kind of off-white colour of finger grain within. These 2 carts are driven by large lizards. These aren't the hairy ones, though. You'll be disappointed to hear. And leading them are 5 figures. They all look identical. They are all wearing the same kind of all-concealing garb that you saw Ilek and some unnamed companion in previously when you met him at the Eastern Gate. Again, it's a kind of tight cap with cloth that covers the face and has kind of very thin kind of a series of holes just so you can see through. And then a kind of a cylindrical cloth covers the shoulders and arms. The hands are gloved, legs covered by a skirt, so you can't see the individuals underneath them. Although on the kind of piece of the oblong of cloth that covers the face and kind of goes beneath the chin, there is painted the symbol of Behel, the spiral with the bird perched on top of it. And these figures approach. You see as Ilek kind of moves to the front of the crowd with you. Ailey, you kind of hear him kind of say under his breath, "Oh God, they sent." Oh. Right, well, regardless, he seems fairly displeased at these 5 figures who have come bearing this stuff. Having arrived at kind of the periphery of Osiro, they kind of fairly unceremoniously pull off the top of these sides of things. You see in the back one there are racks and racks of bronze swords, kopeshes, like the one that Barney used to have. The signature weapon of Behel in wartime, aside from the spear they normally have. And one of them at the front essentially basically starts pulling off grain and kind of holding it out a bit weirdly, because there's no Oseth particularly near them or anything. Some of the kind of Oseth are kind of like gingerly start to walk a bit closer at the side of this outheld giant sack. Ilek will kind of push the front of the crowd. I'll deal with this. You 5 carry all of these wares to the top, to the encampment here, and distribute them evenly amongst the people, if you would. Saying this, they pretty much immediately kind of silently snap to and start following. You see that 4 of them, 2 of them start distributing these weapons a bit clumsily. They start just handing them out. One of them holds out a sword to a child at one point. Kemashet kind of quickly picking this up, kind of goes, I imagine at this point Harry Kemashet probably steps in and starts taking care of the distribution of weapons here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna I mean, not everyone's got. If someone's got a good sword already,
Yeah, there aren't that many weapons here. You are definitely short on weaponry. You may recall that Basuk himself was fighting with a pretty crude thing that was basically a butcher's knife.
yeah. Well, I'm giving it to the competent people that don't already have weapons. Then,
Sure.
and then increasing order, increasingly incompetent people who don't have weapons.
Between the weapons here, there's, I mean, some people will have to improvise, but there is by and large enough here to arm Osiro, effectively, or the fighting fit of Osiro. It's not enough for everyone to have a sword, but and I imagine Kimashet probably steps in, under a bit of Sethnet's direction to distribute this stuff. You see people open these sacks, and you see these, like the name suggests, these finger-sized grains of, as I said, this off-white colour. Barney, you recognise this food. This is, the signature food of Behel, grown in the Beckfee Flats. You know how to cook this stuff, but it's a little finicky to do so. Some of the Oseth kind of opening these sacks look kind of quizzically around of like, what the fuck do I do with this?
Do I know how to cook it?
No, you've never seen this food before. You've seen grains, so you might be able to figure it out, but you're not sure.
I try and give a little bite to one.
It's tough.
Can I offer?
Sorry, what's Barney doing?
I'd like to. Can I show you guys how to do this?
Kimashet, this dromad has walked up and made an offer.
Yes. No. You have
Yes,
experience
no.
with this food stuff?
I have. It's a bit finicky to do, and I only have one hand. But if I could oversee you cooking it, that would be really helpful. I think that might benefit all of us.
Are there people among the Oseth who are like cooks? When I say cooks, I mean
people who. I mean, this is a fairly. Technologically, it's very limited. But like within every household, unless you're upper class, someone cooks the meals, or everyone cooks the meals. More likely, everyone participates at the end of the day in making the food. So everyone really has experience with cooking, by and large. Maybe you a bit less than others, but
But do they not know how to?
It's just this specific thing they haven't cooked before, is all. But Barney can get to, under Kimashet's direction, kind of, maybe a small crowd forms, small pot of water, a bit of a fire. You begin to show them how to boil these things, and then, explain, you can also grind them into powder and do things with that. It's a fairly utile grain. Essentially,
If you want to accept my offer, Harry. Cool.
Once the kind of distribution of this food and weapons takes over, and I will say that, there's a surprise from Sethnet and the kind of elders here. Most people are just concerned about feeding themselves, but this stuff has shown up summarily fast and with no kind of formal ratification of Ilek and Habush's words. So you might intuit this either is it might be a diabolical scheme, but most likely indicates a significant keenness on the behalf of Behel, or whoever's the patron behind this stuff. Anyway, once the distribution of these things kind of comes underway, these 5 cloaked figures find and come towards Ilek, and you see that the one in the centre is holding a roll of parchment. You, I think, just Ailey and Carillia and Lola are familiar with. You saw Nuch bring one of these out when you first met, when you were in that cart. You do catch the glint of chrome slabs kind of held in place by this thing, and you recall when Nuch rolled these things out and this illusory magic of Ilek appeared above it. Ilek looks at this thing. 1 second. He kind of looks around and goes, there should be something else, I think. And one of them, actually, hold on, I'm gonna make a luck check for Ilek here, actually. Sam, you got a 10. If there's anything you want to do with that.
I haven't really got much to do with that, unfortunately.
Okay,
unfortunately.
They just stand there in silence, and he goes, "No, okay, all right, fine. Do you want to follow us?" And he basically assembles Sethnet. Sethnet gets Kimashet. Also gets. Hold on, I did write down this name. Zebnusk, who is now one of the more senior elders after Rodon was stripped of her rank. And Ilek also goes to get Barney and Ailey. Barney and kind of comes over, kind of goes to the crowd, sees you demonstrating this cooking of this thing. Barney, would you rather stay here?
What would you like? What would you like me for?
I think you should stay here. You're best placed amongst the people, aren't you, Barney? Although Keemoshet will probably have to get someone to take over cooking, given that he's now been asked to Sethnet's side.
Was he just cooking in one pot? I assumed he taught people how. Okay, whatever.
Well, no, you're in the middle of demonstrating how this thing is cooked.
Teach a man.
Yeah. The idea is that Barney shows you how to do it, you show everyone, and then it spreads from there.
Have we got the general idea?
No, this stuff takes a while. You've got to boil it for ages.
Well, can I get Barney to explain the rest of the shit I have to do before he leaves?
Well, as I say, Harry, you have got a lot of military authority over people here. You could just get someone else to do it.
I wanted to do the cooking.
Okay, fine. Sethnet is... Keemoshet, I need you at my side. Kind of see the sparkle in your eyes. I mean, I really think it is pressing for you to join me here.
Okay. Sorry. Was you taken with a sudden glimpse of being a chef? Of course. And then I find
it's exciting.
I get some people. Snap, crackle, and pop. You can continue with the cooking of these large puffed grains.
Sure. Snap, crackle, and pop. Those three very Oseth names. They take over the cooking. No, that's all right. It's quite funny.
They are okay. It's just snap is spelt like S''NAHP. All right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Right. So my. Aside from Barney, everyone goes into Ilek's tent where there's a bit of privacy. This thick parchment is rolled, and you see again those flat slabs of chrome are revealed. The main one produces these two kind of cubes of this kind of metallic-looking material, and as you saw Nook once do, they strike it above this thing, and where the sparks from it come, an image rendered first in a translucent blue, which then progresses into Technicolor, apparates. At its centre is seated a profoundly old woman, perhaps close to a century. She has the chestnut-brown skin of the Alakvazi natives, but darkened and made leathery by the passage of time. Her hair is incredibly long and voluminous, so much so that it covers much of her form, giving her the appearance of a kind of grey cone from which two skeletal arms and a weathered face poke out. You wonder if perhaps across her generation-spanning lifetime, her hair has never once been cut. Behind her, you see stands Halbush, Nuch, although of course he appears like Ilek, and another man who is in his 40s. He's short in stature, slightly stooped, shaven-headed. He's got the moustache of his very curly white beard, clean-shaven. Barney and Ilek will recognise this as Gu, the merchant of grain. Seeing this figure apparate, Ilek very kind of neatly and immediately goes into a deep bow before them and goes, Tiolda Sud, I'm pleased to see you again. And kind of peeks up his eyes and looks at Nook and goes, hello, Nook. And Nook goes, hello, Master. Not doing his Ilek voice anymore. There's this brief pause, and then Ilek introduces the people here. Ailey, my apprentice-to-be. This is Sethnet, leader for the Oseth people. Keemoshet, who is their military leader, and I've already forgotten his name. Zebnusk, I think it is. Zebnusk, one of the elders. there's a further pause. And then finally, this person who Ilek has identified as Tealdar Sood speaks. I should say that Tealdar is a title. It's like Khan or King or Earl or whatever. I don't think I've explained it at this point. So anyone give me a history check if they want to know about the Tealdars, if they want.
15.
15. Okay.
22.
22. Okay, so both Kemashet and Ailey know. A Tealdar is like a Khan, that's the kind of word for ruler in these parts, but their successor has to be legitimized by the Khan in Udrind, Khan Dozar. So that essentially means that while they have political autonomy as a city-state, they're really only ever going to have people taking the throne who are favourable to the Khan, which gives them kind of allows a modicum of political control that keeps them kind of in line, as it were. I'll say on a 20, Ailey, you might recall kind of brief, pieces of history on, that land Alakvazi to the northeast of, kind of about 200 years ago, conquest of Udrind, capturing the other city-states of Alakvazi and establishing the Khanate over them. You said you got a 21? 22.
22.
22, okay. So that's all you know on a 22. You don't know any more details on a 25. Although maybe you'll catch the kind of, your brain will go like, well, hold on. I don't think Behel has a system of inherited monarchy, so I'm not quite sure how this person is a Tealdar, but whatever. That might be just a little thing that scratches the back of your head. Anyway, Alex said, pleased to see you. Eventually, this long-haired woman speaks. Ilek, I'm afraid I cannot return the compliment. Your actions have been seen as a profound betrayal of the council. Ilek, you catch a faint gulp to him. Goes, I did all in service to Behel. Had Djib not interfered, then we would have had several months to prepare for this conflict and much more. To which he kind of retorts, Djib interfered. He, I believe, without final proof, but I'm fairly certain, granted a lattice work of occlusion to Moda Rayford. A gift, I'm sure. She kind of pauses for a moment to digest this information. Of course, you fail to consider that he would not have done so if you had just behaved yourself. You are the instigator here. You're like, your actions have put us on a course for destruction. Her voice kind of raises slightly. So let us get to the matter of hand. Our circumstances mean we cannot grant asylum to the Oseth people immediately. Faint sound of disapproval maybe from the Oseth here. I don't know if Kemashet has that. But once we have cleared this crisis, you have my word that as the ruler of Behel, we can begin the process in exchange for the cure that Halbush has said you promise. As you can see, we're more than keen to make this arrangement, given our deliverance of food and armaments at your request. Know that it is upon Halbush and Ilek's words that we trust you, and I hope if there are any sentiments of superiority, that if you were to bring these arms against Behel, Thype would summarily deal with you alone. I hope you can appreciate the circumstances here. She's saying that kind of directly to the Oseth in the room. Our survival now is bound as one. If no one interjects at that point, what then is going to follow?
Can I?
Yep.
Could you outline the exact circumstances under which you will be ready to offer us asylum? It seemed a little vague. When this matter is dealt with, I would prefer some concrete.
I appreciate your keenness, but I'm merely giving my opening consideration so you understand the circumstance, and we're going to get into the details as you wish. Although I appreciate your keenness for specificity.
Oh no, I'm very sorry. We do.
Always takes me a little while to get into the Northern Irish. There we go. So what is going to follow is a ratifying of what was negotiated between Halbush and Ilek, and a specification that essentially Behel has enough room for the Oseth people to move in, although it's going to be a bit cramped. The gist of it is, look, if after this the city of Behel is still standing and under, wizards under the council's rule, they can, over essentially a week and a bit, prepare housing, a district for the Oseth. They find themselves with a surplus of housing due to the shell plague influencing their city and killing their people as well. Something that Sood remotes has a certain bitter irony to it that the people who brought the plague here are ultimately going to take the houses of the people who were claimed by it. You don't think that she's very open about not having a particular warmth for the Oseth people. It's just that she recognises the political circumstances that well, if I don't bring these people on board, that's no cure, and that's very likely me being killed by the approaching army. That's what gets discussed. Does anyone have any interjections on that proceeding? No? Cool. Things then move into strategy. Ilek discusses matters with I would say a previously unseen authority on warfare, although maybe Alien Barnett caught a bit of this earlier, and talks about Thypian military tactics. He talks about how they're very likely to move at night to infiltrate the city. They'll be using the gaps in the wall. They're a minor force that cross the desert is unlikely to go for a siege approach, given the kind of placing of Behel, and for a number of other reasons. He considers the split in the southwestern wall to be a particular focus, and expects that, given the kind of the legionnaire phalanx tactics of the Thypians, that's very likely where they will be marching the majority of the forces through, but by no means where they will all go. These people know how to sow tactics, know tactics for sowing chaos and unrest within a city they're trying to take. What else? Should I just check my notes? And that is where Ilek comes in with his own strategy, the one that he kind of told to Alien Barnett before, the plan to sandwich the invading Thypian majority between Oseth behind them and Behel soldiers in front of them. That's the only chance we're going to get for our limited numbers to count for something. And we lost Sam there a bit. And he kind of leans slightly into a bit of a kind of militaristic speech of brought together for a straight fight. Behel and Oseth will lose to the superior Thypian forces, but with the element of surprise and the tactics to exploit them, that is wherein the victory lies. And he kind of discusses matters of magic, but he does so in a way that's kind of is a bit like an in-joke. Like he has familiarity with them in a way that no one else here does, so it doesn't really make sense. So when he brings up cob-size artillery, it doesn't really make any sense to you. But it seems to resonate with the people on the other side of this strange spectral image. At that point, is there anyone?
What did he call it?
Cob-size artillery.
And are we familiar with the notion of artillery? Trebuchets and the
yeah.
like?
You know what arrows and you will know about sieges and trebuchets, those kind of things.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's what he discusses. On the point of strategy, does anyone interject? Keemoshet in particular.
So is Sethnet in the room? Sorry, I should
Yeah.
know
Sethnet
this.
as the leader of the Oseth is definitely present for this.
Sethnet, I have no experience with strategy, like nothing outside of a textbook.
To be clear, this is Harry talking, right?
No.
Oh yeah, no, Keemoshet. Yeah, no, true. You were quite young.
He's not been in a battle.
You have
So
formally studied strategy though, which does count for something.
Yeah. So I'm going to defer to him, like generally. I presume being that.
Yeah, no, Sethnet has military
wars.
experience.
Yeah, I'm going to be pretty deferent to him. You know, oh, well, you must ask Sethnet about these things. I know only whatever. The one, point that I want to make, I don't know how to describe. I want to basically watch the discussion of strategy to make sure that we're not being used as, the Oseth aren't being used as, a suicide force.
Yeah, sure. Give me I'm going to say insight, or you can do intelligence with proficiency to represent your military, your tactical strategic knowledge.
Yeah, okay. Proficiency. What is my proficiency? 3. Yeah, that's possible. Doing that. 19.
So looking at the discussions here, I mean, it's if anything, it's the Behel soldiers being sacrificed because they are the bait to lure in the Thypians that you will then hit from behind. If anyone's going to bear the brunt of the conflict, it's going to be them more than you think. And you think there's also an acknowledgement that basically if we just sell out the Oseth, if we just let them take the brunt of it, we're still going to get fucked. It's kind of as one that we win or not.
Okay, fair enough.
Sure.
That's good.
That's what you get on a 19. Sure. I mean, Sethnet will at some points be, to you, Kimishet, what do you think of this strategy? You can say you give your thoughts or something, but you don't have to specify anything if you don't want to.
No. I think it's a fine setup. Classic bait and switch pincer movement. Get the impression that Kimishet doesn't really know what he's talking about at this point, but actually I do. I'm using military terminology that I can't ad lib. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. I worry for the face of the Oseth, not the Oseth, the fate of the Behelian soldiers, but I believe they will, stand firm, and this offers us by far our best chance of winning.
Mm-hmm. I will say,
so it's way too Boris Johnson at the moment. I can't. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Don't be NHS.
Shut up, Sam.
On your 19, was that about military strategy, or were you doing an insight check there? Can I ask?
I did military strategy, which you said was just proficiency.
So intelligence and proficiency.
Yes, which is +1 and +3.
Cool. I'm going to say on a 19 as well. You think basically if this plan works, regardless, the tension is going to be if you can deal with a kind of a majority central, a clustered force of the Thypians. It's the ones who are running through the city sowing chaos that's going to be the where the kind of the edge is. Essentially, that's where things are going to either get really effing messy, particularly for the Oseth, particularly if you don't know about the defense of Behel in regards of beyond the walls. What if these soldiers sowing chaos just get into the tower and slay all the people running the place? That's where you think the kind of the real bit that decides the conflict is going to be. But that's only if Ilik's plan works in the first place anyway.
Can I raise that?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't want to repeat everything that you just said. I'm just going to say I raise that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Ilik will follow through. I consider this myself. It is the nature of war that if the enemy is going to sow chaos, then it's chaos that we have to accept. We can only respond in kind. Spreading our forces thin through Behel, Sud corrects him to our forces. Spreading your forces through thinly through the city of Behel will only see them fall all the faster. They are not as experienced as the soldiers of Thype. We must be prepared to have the city suffer some losses. That is the nature of conflict. Our magic can provide assistance and control, mitigation, but we should make no mistake that there will be no ideal solution to this. Which I think everyone contemplates and kind of accepts more or less, unless anyone wants to interject. At that point, some things are ironed out, but I think unless there's any other points of note, the discussions come to an end. You get the sense that this kind of small group that Halbush has gathered, which includes the leader of Behel, so has some significance, is is open to the Oseth getting what they want, essentially, out of Behel.
Do we think we've seen the pro-war faction here?
You think you've seen... give me an insight check. So
Because I remember
it
it was wizards and one merchant, which I think is what you listed there.
Yes, it's one merchant and the wizards minus to Jib. But do you know how many wizards are on the Council of Behel? I don't know. I don't think Ailey does.
I think you said 5 and 4, or it was 6 and 5.
It's 6 and 5. So this won't be all the wizards. But what did you get for insight?
I got an 18.
You think, looking over these people, and you clock where the eye lines are going. You think this is more the people who aren't going to flip their shit when Ilek's deception comes to light. So it's the people who can, hold the line, as it were, understand where the real threat is, and aren't going to make the whole thing kind of collapsing on itself. So it's the people who can really be trusted. Because this goo person, this merchant of grain, who only kind of interjects to talk about food distribution, the food that he appears to have overseen the deliverance of this grain to. You're right, Harry. Deliverance of grain to Osiro.
Sorry. Sam posted a picture of a funny dog.
Forget it. Okay, fine, whatever. This goo character has you clearly appears to be amused almost by Ilek's kind of antics here, more than anything. That's what you gauge, I think, on a 19. You said, right? Right. Well, then, if there's nothing else, the discussions come to a close. Sud has some parting words. She goes, "Very well, Ilek," and he kind of looks to her. Yes. She looks him basically square in the eyes. After this conflict is resolved, and you've done the honourable thing of helping us win it, if Behel is still stands as a city of wizards, then I'm going to dispose of this, and kind of indicates to Nook this thing of yours, and then I'm going to put my remaining energies and knowledge into finding you and giving you that death you desire so much. And Ilek goes, I would expect no less. At which point she makes a gesture and the hologram kind of crumbles and decays and fades to nothing. Everyone kind of looks around for a moment, digests the situation. Ilek goes, great, if I could just have a moment with these servitors here to tidy up some things. Asking for the tent, for everyone else to vacate the tent. I assume Kemashet and Sethnet and Zebnusk do so.
Well, I'm doing what Sethnet does.
Sure. Sethnet, I think at this point, is kind of learned that, with his experience, going with what Ilek says is, kind of with mediation is a good way to navigate things, and does have you and has Kemashet come up with him, and Zebnusk as well. Is Ailey leaving?
Did he ask to be alone with the sort of the operators of the machinery?
Yes.
Yeah, Ailey's going to go and do her what's it called? Her quantum spell.
Okay, cool. All right.
Quantum query.
So you leave. You just quickly go away to do that then. Not too fussed about the events here. You see her not that much longer later. Maybe you catch kind of brief glimpse of some of these servitors leaving. You think they'll just leave the tent carrying this role as well. And if no one else does anything, then they will just, mutely lead these cart drawing lizards away, having made their delivery to Osiro. You do note that Sethnet, you do see, I think some of you will see Barney, Kemashet, Kirilia will see that Sethnet goes up to speak to some of them, and Ilek kind of joins him a moment later, and you see he does hand over what you think might be containers of Sethnet's blood. I will say it's not a massive amount. It's not like he's pouring out, it's not like he's churning out this stuff. He's bloodletting as much as a person can without suffering severe health effects. What's up, Shannon?
Would it be possible for me to get my little fingies from one of them vials? Is there a spare vial floating around?
You could try to break into
Probably
Ilek's
not,
tent and
but
find
can
one
I
if
get
you
one
want.
anyone?
You can't. I mean, you can try to go up
I
and
don't,
ask for one, or you
I
can
don't
try
need
to
to
steal
steal
one.
one. I'm Corellia. It's me. I don't need to steal.
Okay,
People
do you
just give
would you
me
go up
things.
to Elec or something? Or Sethnet, I suppose.
I did just punch him.
Hmm.
Okay, I just punched Ilek and told him I'd continue to punch him.
That was like
And
5 hours
Seth
ago. I
just
mean, you might be
rejected my
fine now.
kiss. So both options bad.
Sure.
Bad. I'm gonna ask Ilek because I feel less pain when I talk to him.
Yeah, sure. You find him. He goes, Corellia, I made the tactical decision of not including you so you couldn't strike me when I made decisions that needed to be made. How are you doing?
Wondering why you didn't include me, Liam. Oh, I just thought you didn't like me, but that's fine. Wise move. I was wondering if I could get my hands on a little vial of the blood.
I mean, it's a fairly precious resource right now. We've just given some to these. The services are kind of going away. I mean, we plan to have Sethnet let more over the coming days that it can be used to cure the people of Behel. But I suppose I can ask him to spare you some. It's important, though. I mean, a vial is, that's dozens of people who can be protected and cured.
Are you telling me, the healer, how important this cure is? You were the ones that bully you into coming and doing it.
Fair enough. I understand. Sure. Any reason you want this? Can I ask? Well,
Feel.
Truth or a lie? Feigned truth. Okay. Well, let's be honest. I used some magic in that tent that I don't quite understand. Now, I thought if I had a look at the blood, maybe I'd get to know my own powers better.
so you.
Which is a lie.
Sure. Give me a deception check then.
Disadvantage, baby. Okay.
I think you. She has been 8 hours. Yes. Yeah. What did you get?
Huh?
What did you get? Sorry.
10 on disadvantage.
His
10.
eyes narrow. He kind of contemplates things for a moment and goes, "Well, I suppose you did. Yes, I mean your actions were integral to the ritual going well. Far be it from me to pry into what fucked up stuff you want to do with blood. I mean that would be kind of hypocritical, wouldn't it? I'll talk with Sethnet. I assume he excuses himself.
Like nasty, thanks.
Right. If that's everything for the day, then I'm going to say you go to sleep. Well, what was Ailey doing? Ailey was going to do Quantum Query, wasn't she? Shall I make those saves? Oh, what's up, Sam?
Have I finished teaching
I'm sure you've taught them. By now you've taught them how to cook.
everything they
People kind of like you around here now, Sam. I mean, you speak to a few of them, you move amongst them. You don't, you kind of didn't have the prejudice towards them that some other people have. Yeah.
So I move in for a kiss.
You can kiss anyone here. I mean, again, kissing not an Oseth thing, especially not before marriage. But I
won't be doing that.
Sure. I mean, you've got a long neck, so you could head bump a lot of people in quick succession. Quite well. You could do the Oseth Eskimo kiss quite fast. But anyway,
we'll see how it goes.
All right, Grace, what's your wisdom modifier? I'm gonna make those. Or actually, it's wisdom saving throw, isn't it? That I'm making for you.
If I'm proficient, it's +7.
Okay, +7. All right, I'm gonna make the rolls for Quantum Query now. Okay. And okay.
And I'm going to make the save against decrepitude regardless of my success. I'll make that now.
Okay. And what's
I rolled a 16 versus my own save, so I suffer no damage or half damage.
I'm going to roll a d3. You get half. If it's 1, you get 0.
Mm-hmm.
That's you reduce your maximum hit points by 1.
Mm-hmm.
You briefly taste that kind of iron in your mouth as you cast this thing, and there's a few lines of lightning kind of go between the staff's head and yours. But nothing too bad, at least. What are your questions?
My first question is, what strategy and force do the Thippians possess unknown to Ilek?
Okay. Do you want the answers? But is it yes, no, or maybe, or abstract images? I think are the choices.
I
right?
believe. Oh, have I overestimated the?
It might be yes, no, and maybe. I'll just quickly check.
If it's yes, no, maybe, I will have to rethink my things. I will. If it's yes, no, maybe, I will say. Has Ilek accurately gauged the strength of the Thippian force?
Yeah, it's sorry. It's the answers are either cryptic message, short phrase, yes, no, or unclear. Cool.
So I will say.
It's a bit binary, or not binary, but like as in yeah.
But it's definitely like you could say it.
I can't give you a paragraph. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, sorry.
Well, I would be, if you can say a short phrase, I'd be happy with just naming a thing.
Sure.
Or do you want me to phrase it in the way that is like?
No, you can.
So I'm asking what it is that Ilek hasn't foreseen about there.
Okay. You get the words. The mosaic.
Okay. Cool. My second question is.
And I would say as well, you also see a vision of just kind of a series, kind of a lattice of diamonds, the shape kind of multicolour, kind of knitting together and spreading outwards. Anyway.
My second question is therefore, what threat or power does the mosaic offer the Thippians?
I'm going to say the answer you get is I'll ask, actually, I don't want to be unfair to you. How abstract do you want your answers? Do you want to try to figure out the kind of the poem of them, or do you want to just get kind of straight information? As
a player, I feel like it would be appropriate for the information to be, if true, to be factual but possibly irrelevant, as opposed to entirely cryptic. I think if they were cryptic, they would be because the fact was too removed from my knowledge, not because they were sort of written in a haiku form.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to say then. I tell you what. I'm going to pair imagery with words here. I'm going to say the words you get are a center to the web, and then what you're going to see is a series of kind of silhouettes, separate, and then lines before them form a kind of crooked circle, and then still a silhouette, but a silhouette you can tell is of significance. It has that just quality to it. Is at the center of the circle to which all the lines converge. You get the sense of a kind of a center of information of some kind.
And my last question is, why does Ilek fear you?
Oh, blimey. Okay. I really do want to do a cryptic thing here now.
If cryptic's appropriate,
it's a very abstract question. I think the answer to it is going to be, and maybe it returns to that slightly more kind of booming voice you've heard in your previous visions of, because I can give everyone what he fears. And then there's a kind of a slight snap, and the electricity disconnects.
Yeah, cool, nice.
Actually, no, sorry, what he fears and wants.
That's more appropriate. As I suspected.
Okay.
Excellent. Shannon, we met Mosaic, a character called Mosaic, or perhaps you did?
You both did see her briefly, yes. Corellia had a chance to probe her psychically, but yeah.
I'm going to go speak to Corellia.
Sure.
I'm going to seek her out.
You go around, you find Corellia. She's kind of a little ways off, maybe a bit reclusive, maybe a little sad.
Crying. She is crying.
Oh, she's full crying. Okay.
Corellia, what's wrong? Come now, what happened?
She doesn't say anything.
What's happened?
I'm just gonna, with the full force of my own like rejection, just blast the image on loop of Sethna and me kissing awkwardly into your head over and over.
Is it
Yeah.
like a half second of the lean in and then his kind of recoil?
Yeah, you
Oh.
put a hand on her shoulder and connect to her briefly, and you just kind of get like bombarded with the same flickering image. Like, oh.
I think Ailey, her hair stands up and she's like, ugh.
Did you need something?
Ailey says, yes, but it seems like you need something too. And she just leaves the staff standing by the door, and she
I think Kirilla's just sleeping outside, by the way, to be clear. But there's not much housing here.
She's outside.
Yeah, she would have to
okay. Well, she sits with Corelia and she tries to comfort her. She talks about her feelings and what happened, and she tries to offer to put the kiss in the context of these bone people. And I'm not sure how good she is at this, but she tries to be.
I think the time Corelia spent with Ailey has shown her that Ailey's not the best with feelings.
Mhm.
So the fact that you're even trying, like, this is the best comfort that could be given to me at this point. 10 out of 10, I'm recovered.
Yeah, so I think maybe Ailey's a bit sort of quiet and a bit systematic and a bit reasonable, but she's trying. You know.
Love you so much.
Yeah, and if Corelia feels
I'm
better,
going to go in for a kiss.
I think is that a thing you're doing in character for the kiss?
No, probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Corelia does feel better, then I think Ailey will try to bring up the encounter with Mosaic, and ask what Corelia remembered, and because I don't know what Ailey doesn't know that you know, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, let's see what Shanna remembers. Well, I remember that she was a powerful Esper, different to me, different powers. Much more focused on, is it telepathy? Is that the right word?
Yeah, so you picked up that she's not, like, in terms of raw strength, she's lesser than you, but is a lot better at using what she's got, you think?
Okay. She's basically like a smaller sword, but more pointy.
Is her power in harming?
Is her power in harming? You can't hear me whispering on this. Is her power in harming?
It's telepathy, so it's primarily communicating in the mind, but I mean, it's within the bounds of psychic power to harm someone telepathically.
Okay. Then I want to communicate that from what I could tell with my brief interaction with her, I think her greatest harm would be in how fearlessly she feels she can probe others' minds, and that she definitely tried to worm her way around in mine without really knowing who I was or anything. Like, she wanted them deep secrets, but also knowing that Espers can be dangerous, and having control over someone's mind, probably a pretty dangerous weapon.
She could see your location by her power.
Yeah, she could, right?
And can you see those who aren't enlightened, who have no Esper powers?
Nope. It's the Rosa here for us.
Sorry.
Kind of shows that.
Are you asking if I can or if Mosaic can?
Either. I know nothing of the psychic realm. Could a telepath?
Well, I can only look at other Espers.
Could a telepath sense the
I would say
a
that
body of
within
men?
her realm. I think yes. Would Corelia think yes? That
Sorry, what's the question? Whether she could pinpoint other people? Well,
If
Carillia,
if you could detect, say, like the presence of a hidden body of Oseth soldiers, perhaps.
I will say Carillia can probably speak on this with her own experience, which was when you were kind of looking around for Barnelect and Jurab in Wraithreach. It's a lot easier to perceive kind of when you perceive that other place almost, where you saw kind of psychic glimmer. It's a lot easier to see another Esper than it is to see another person. You very much have to be specifically looking for someone to find them who doesn't have the psychic gift. So it's not like you can just pick up a bunch of non-psychic people around.
And would more people together be more visible?
Carillia doesn't know, but certainly she's been around large crowds and it doesn't seem to massively amplify her, psychic pickup, as it were, although it does kind of somewhat mess with her empathic abilities.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is very interesting and very concerning.
Yeah, we're pretty cool.
Well, I mean, did you say no, we're pretty cool?
Yeah.
Well, indeed, but such force arrayed against us. It is... I would rather have your powers on our side alone.
When I did contact Mosaic, she didn't seem threatening when we were in the camp. She seemed more inquisitive. There was another Esper there.
Yes. I don't think she will harm someone with her mind, but our plan relies on surprise and confusion. And they have a person who can see hidden people and carry messages by thought of mind. It will not be well for
But
us if we rely on
what
hidden...
if we distract with a squad of Espers?
Indeed. Do we have such a squad of Espers? Could you fight her in the psychic realm alone?
I will say, I don't think Ailey is even aware there is a psychic realm.
I don't know. I don't know what Ailey thinks.
You might just be like riffing in the way that, like, can you psychic sword duel her or something? You might be just riffing.
Well, if it's like, if there's the thin world, can you fight in like the thick world or something? I don't know.
So the thick world is the reality in which you live. The thin world is where constructs such as your rod live. I don't even know if Carillia is particularly aware there is a kind of a psychic world, as it were. I just want to clarify on that point, is all.
Do we know? Are there any other Espers? There's no Espers among the Oseth, are there?
Okay, I'm going to say that amongst the Oseth, there's probably people who have the faintest kind of splutter. They might be able to slightly move a pebble or something, but no one who's significant.
Still assemble a little team of them. Send them off one way, send the road guys the other way.
That is interesting. That's interesting. We should speak to Ilek about this. Thank you, Carillia.
It's late. Are you doing this tomorrow, or are you doing
no, I'm waking Ilek up right now.
What? What is it?
And I say, the Thippians have an Esper. They will carry messages, and they may spot our hidden troops. What will you do?
He kind of lit up yours. It's generally considered very hard for. It's rare to be gifted with telepathy, and then to coordinate a lot of people is difficult.
It need only be messages between officers. Your surprise will last less than you think. The confusion will be considerably reduced.
That is...
And if they spot the ambush before it sprung, death. For both forces separately.
So spotting is harder than you might think for a psychic, particularly to pick those out who are not gifted, as it were. Someone like Kirilia might be able to do it, but not someone with telepathy. You have to search before you can find, if you understand. But
And he's like,
stop clawing at my face. You
no,
just
no,
woke
no.
me
She's
up.
like, whatever.
I mean, I assume you're just kind of like stooping over him as he's like woken up right in his tent. This is
Cat, like, she sits up on his chest.
yeah. You bury your nails into his chest and like pull back against them.
Just one paw in his face till he wakes up.
Yeah, you just do that slow like batting of the forehead. This is something worth considering. I've had a really long day. The Thipians aren't here yet. Let's discuss this. I mean, this does have my attention, though. Thank you. How do you know this?
And Kirilia spoke of it. We they made contact in the camp. I was consoling her. We spoke of it.
Very well. It's possible that that they may not. I'll bring this to everyone's attention tomorrow morning when we begin to discuss the tactics to accompany our strategy. This is important, though. Thank you.
Rest well.
I think he goes back to sleep. You know, kind of just lies back, eyes closed, and then immediately like.
I'm gonna look thoughtfully at all his piles of technology and then leave.
Sure. Great. Lola is there as well. I will say she does sleep in this tent as well sometimes. Assumedly you sleep. We go to the next day. Can I ask at this point, does everyone want to... do we want to push on a little bit past 10 or do we want to end at 10? Just want to check with everyone.
I can push.
Shannon?
How much are we pushing?
Maybe 30 minutes. That might be pushing it, but Shannon's pulling a face. Let's say 10 for now. I don't know. Harry and Shannon haven't actually said anything. They're just kind of staring.
I was just waiting for you to stop talking, so I didn't interrupt.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I can do a bit longer.
Shannon, I'll try to keep it.
You may notice from my eyelids that I'm very tired, so I may become more incoherent, but I'm up for it.
All right.
I can offer you 15 more minutes of my time.
Excellent.
But I've got
Brilliant.
some halloumi
All right.
to fry.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to pick things up slightly. We come to the next day. You wake up. The industry of war firmly asserts itself over Osiro. Everyone moves with purpose to all of their individual tasks towards a singular goal. Grids of Oseth form up and train under knights who themselves are directed under Kemashet. Harry, is there anything particular you're adding to this at all, or are you just kind of essentially deciding the drills that people go through?
I mean, I think it's like basic stuff.
Yeah,
really.
absolutely.
Right? Like, I think I know my knights know what to do. I'm focusing on like. Sorry.
As I said before, there are people here who are formerly soldiers of the Oseth. So there's a lot more people here who have competency with military matters. It's not like it's not the knights and then just rabble, to be clear.
Yeah, but I'm basically I'm looking for people who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going around doing your thing.
My belief is, if one person sort of breaks away and does something stupid, you start compromising a unit. So
sure,
I'm trying to deal with that.
Sure. I'm sure the Oseth have some comparable, weakest link quote, like the weakest bone is the one that breaks or something. You're going around. I will say those of you at the group who move amongst the Oseth do see that kind of burning spirit in their eyes, and as you see kind of people begin to increasingly become syncopated through the same military drills, the same sword strokes with the same bronze kapesh, you think you perhaps see a kind of a warrior tradition reawakening amongst the Oseth. These are people who were kind of hardline isolationists who were always in conflict with the kind of tribes of the jungle around them, and those kind of both those cultural and the kind of muscle memory of that is perhaps coming back to them a bit here. There's a burning in the eyes. You see that the kind of the strategy is very kind of pluralistic. Sethnet and Ilek are at the centre of the town, essentially drawing out things, using the dirt to make a map of the surrounding terrain and discussing things. And Kemashet and the knights do have themselves talked through the strategy of what's to come and so on. At a later point, there's a bit where Ilek walks down the mountainside and comes back. Maybe those of you keeping an eye out do see one of these cowled figures walking back towards Behel, a single solitary one walking back. And he carries under his arm 2 large urns, which he kind of opens. Those of you interested kind of catch this horrible noxious smell and see this strangely iridescent purple substance inside, which he will demonstrate by putting a stick inside and producing this silver crescent, which creates fire. He lights it and it burns with this purple-violet flame. And he explains to you that this is going to be integral to fighting in the night, providing illumination and also a colour to distinguish themselves from others, so that they may be a more unified, coherent force. That's what's going on. Carillia. There is a moment where you're going about. I think there's still people who are, kind of recovering from the shale plague. There's other sickness around. I think Carillia's probably doing her, medical aid, right? There's a bit. I said there's a bit where you're kind of you've taken a break. You're just kind of walking around, and you hear this kind of distant, gentle sound. It's a little ways away, but you kind of this soft ringing. And then as you kind of listen and strain for it, you hear it's kind of just this faint sound is joined by another and another, and it's this. You're trying to focus and hear this disorganized collection of these beautiful tones, and it's just somewhere amidst the clay abodes of Osiro. There's some sound that's kind of inviting, almost intoxicating, that you are just kind of catching. Is that Carillia trying to find it? Okay, can you give me a psychic check?
Yeah. No, I slept.
You're slept. You're not exhausted anymore. Well done.
It's a 19.
Brilliant. Okay. You go to follow this noise, training as you do, and it begins to kind of lead you through some of the, as I say, clay abodes here. Eventually, you reach what you think is the source of it. Within one of these huts, the sound escapes between out of a darkened doorway. I'm assuming you enter. And as you go inside, you see darkness for a moment before your eyes can adjust. But as they do, bright illumination fills the space. You squint, and what comes into clarity is not a dim-lit squat, but instead a pristine, sun-kissed glade. A dense wall of trees form a knotted barrier that perfectly encircles this place. And at its centre, tiles of white stone surround a similarly perfect circular pool of crystal clear water. You've never seen water this clear. Atop which are gently drifting these bowls of ceramic, circular, and as they bump into each other, that creates the relaxing, ringing sounds that permeate this alien, serene place. The sun stands perfectly at the apex of the sky, and I will say, I'm really bummed out I couldn't get music and sounds working, because there is actually an art installation called Clinamen by Celeste Bossier-Mougenot. That is this bowls on water, and it produces this really interesting discordant, kind of disorganized sound. That's what you see in this place. Before the ringing pool, upon a cylinder of stone, sits a sculpture. Carved from pristine marble is an androgynous body, human, of an immaculate, lithe physique, swathed in a toga hewn from the same stone. Where would be a head contemplating the pool, instead the neck ends with a flat cut, and above it floats a familiar orb of liquid gold. a voice
Don't
speaks
want
in your
this.
mind that says, "Please, come sit," and indicates the statue moves to indicate for you to sit on the other side of the pool.
Absolutely do not want to, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Well, you can try to leave if you want.
No, I want the story.
Heard you were trying to kiss someone else.
Yes, I hear you have been trying to kiss other people. I'm very jealous. No. I have been, as much as I can, watching your comings and goings. How are you, Corellia? Oh, we've lost Sam, tragically. How are you, Corellia?
Afraid.
You're afraid of me?
Not of you. Someone like you, I think.
That is good that you're not afraid of me. I am your ally in this. I hope you would believe.
Can I do a little insight check?
Yeah, sure, you can incite him, sure.
I guess it's hard to read his glowing.
Yeah, I'm going to say
but I'm
disadvantage
try.
because you're trying to
ooh,
read the emotions of an orb.
I won't need that disadvantage. I got a 7.
7. Yeah, he seems like he wants to be your friend, yeah. He kind of, or why am I saying he? They kind of look around and kind of gesturing to this place. What do you think of this place? Where do you think we are?
We ain't in Kansas anymore, damn. Where does Curly think we are? Yeah. I think I'm sleeping.
That is true, but in a sense that you do not mean. Here you are more awake than you are in than elsewhere. This place is called, well, it is known by many names, but it is known to most as the Astral Plane. It's a place beyond time and space, where will is the only law that shapes things. I think
As well. No, I don't say that, sorry.
I think you have you've had a chance to see, to peek at a little bit of this before. And I will say, you kind of give me a psychic check, actually.
Okie dokie. 25.
25. Okay, brilliant. I mean, he says this, and it kind of reflexively triggers kind of psychic memory. You recall times when you were kind of you tried to perceive things psychically, and it kind of peeled away the mess of what you think of as reality to kind of see the geometries underlying things, and it's there that you saw the kind of the candle flame of mosaic, and you also saw this kind of great burning pyre in the distance. And as you think these things, you kind of see beyond this space, and although you don't see with your eyes, there is a constructed, kind of blue, pristine, cloudless sky here, but beyond it is kind of a space without definition, just a void, similar to what you saw, what you've seen before, trying to extend your psychic senses. I think you intuitively comprehend this is a kind of a space that's been kind of cultivated. This has been created here within a kind of upon a void. You feel a prickling on the back of your neck, and the orb speaks again in your head. Good, you have some understanding of here. Every Esper who has any significance will ultimately cultivate a space here. As you think, it is across the astral plane that you saw the small flickering flame of the one you call Mosaic. And it is also where I sensed your cry of anguish when you lost your friend. Those of greater will, such as myself, can bring craft to a place such as this. And you see, as he's speaking, he gently begins to kind of reach down from his seat, kind of cupping his hand to dig into the soil. And you see, as he leans down, the sun above begins to get closer and closer and closer. And as he reaches a hand into the soil, the ground shakes, and as he rises it up, you feel the ground trembling, and the sun, you see, is itself a golden orb. And as he holds this piece of soil, within it is a kind of a fine ring of what appear to be kind of shrunken, just tiny little sproutlings and so on. But he looks within to this thing, and the sun above looks down at you. It is a place beyond the normal comprehension of those who just live within the illusions and the dream of the waking world. Understanding this place is the key to enlightenment. Once you truly comprehend it, the illusions I mention will remove themselves from you, and you will see everything as it truly is. That space and time are not real. That will is the only thing that truly exists. I want you to begin your journey on this place, but the steps must be your own. And he, the ground shakes again as he goes, and he puts the dirt and the grass on top back into the soil, and it's seamlessly kind of blends back into the ground. It's almost as if he never plucked it up in the first place. And he kind of comes off his chair and picks up one of these bowls in the pool and holds it kind of before his chest. And the liquid gold of his head begins to flow and droop slightly, and then it pours a little bit into this bowl and then stops. You do not want to drink. This is a place of will, of abstracts. This is me gifting something to you. You should not think of this as the consumption of a liquid.
Well, I've done many a water ritual before, and I've got nothing to offer you in return.
You have much to offer me, Camellia. I will help you grow on your path, and then in time you will do something for me. Help me make something right.
Okay. I reach out my hands for the bowl. Oh
Sure.
gosh.
He
Thanks.
he places the bowl back in the pool, and the water kind of slowly moving brings it round to your side. You pick it up. You see this liquid gold within. Do you drink?
Can I first try and get I'm going to drink it, Harry, chill. Can I try and get a sense from it?
Give me an Arcana check. Not Arcana, sorry, a Psychic check.
Okay. 14.
14. You probe into this thing. Tell me, what would be the abstract visual representation, or any kind of representation of Corellia trying to gauge the nature of this substance? This is a place of abstract, of metaphor. What is it that happens to it? What is it that Corellia does to try to understand it?
She dips a little finger in.
Sure, and you just suck it off your finger if you want, or
No, I do not. I just touch it,
okay.
See if it ripples.
You touch it, so you essentially try to feel it, and as you feel it, you somehow impossibly feel the tactile sensation that this is some kind of psychic phenomenon that would allow you to kind of begin creating a space such as this. Your understanding of what exactly is within this bowl is very limited, but this is some kind of knowledge he's trying to share with you that would give you some limited ability to emulate what Alaz has done here.
Well, my Catholic education's telling me not to accept the knowledge.
Okay, you don't have to drink it.
No, I have some questions.
Sure, you can ask.
Mosaic and I we both exist in the physical world. Does that mean that you do too?
They sigh. Sorry, this is really bad because I hear my own voice and then I think, oh, that's okay. They sigh in your mind. You still do not understand, I'm afraid. The physical is immaterial.
I met someone else I thought was you, and it turned out to be someone not as giving. Do you know who that was?
Someone such as me. What did you see? Could you give me a wisdom saving throw?
Oh, no. Okay. It's a 10. That's a 10.
Okay. You feel something worming around your head, and then can you give me a second wisdom saving throw, please?
Oh. It's a 21.
21. Okay. Tragically, it's not quite there. You feel something worming in your mind, and then the voice speaks and goes, "Oh,
Like,
that should not be there." And that memory of finding that dog with the golden head is snipped from it and disappears. You remember you just saying, "Oh, I met someone like you, Mosaic. She's an Esper," and he kind of laughs and goes, "She's not exactly like me, although she is an Esper."
I feel so violated.
Now, are you going to drink,
Okay.
or you do not have to, but it is up to you.
No, I've got no reason not to drink now, do I?
Mm-hmm.
Poor mind-addled Corellia sips,
Okay.
drinks deep from the bowl.
You drink, and a new psychic technique pours down your throat and into your mind. You learn astral commune, which I've just sent to you. You can read out if you want, or we can crack on. Up to you.
Okay. We'll see how long it is. It's long.
It's not that long for a spell, but whatever.
Ooh, I think I can. I think I can bring you guys into the astral plane for a minute.
Yeah, pretty much.
Road trip.
I don't know why I would bring you into the astral plane, but I can. Fun.
So this spell has a use in that, like, if something happens and you need a split second, there's a split second to respond, but you need a moment to talk about it. It can be useful for that kind of thing. Anyway, that's what pours into your mind, and as you kind of as the bowl, as you raise it to your face, kind of eclipses your vision of the sun. You put it down, and you kind of just see you standing around in Osiro. A few Oseth kind of move past. "Oh, hello, Corellia. Are you all right?" Go by. You are just back in Osiro.
Okay, I think I just start crying again.
Okay.
That's me.
I would say as you drink, the leaving words, just as you go back to Osiro, the voice will speak in your mind. This will allow you the first step into the threshold, but all unenlightened are drawn back to the delusions of a physical reality, and then you are back in physical reality. There you go. So, over the course of the day, as I say, Ilek has got this strange pitch, which he calls purple pitch, which he's shown to the people. Strategy is being discussed. They talk about essentially forming a kind of a grid-based deployment on the mountainside. Kind of if the Oseth kind of cover themselves in clay, they can darken themselves. They can conceal themselves amongst pockets. They can kind of dig unsurreptitious trenches to get close to Behel and keep an eye on it, and then march in when the fighting starts from the southwestern gap. Does Ailey head to Behel to try to plug holes in the wall, Grace? Okay. I'm going to say, for the sake of expediency, do you want to quickly make the 3 saves just to see if it goes horribly wrong? Because this could be bad. But I'm going to say Ilek goes with you. Just you.
Shall I
and him.
roll?
Yeah, you should. You should make the 3 saves.
Okay, so I got a crit fail, a success,
That's
a success, and a success.
Oh,
We're good.
fucking hell. That was close. Oh,
We're
that could
good.
have been really
We're
bad.
good. Would have been pretty bad.
That would have been really bad. You would have rent a massive hole in the wall. Ilek kind of goes, kind of going around the outsides. You know, you get spotted by a few Behel people, and he's like, "I'm just inspecting the walls. We've got a wizard here to help out. Don't worry, chaps. We're going to win this one." Some of them are like, "Oh, are we going to be fighting? Don't worry about it. You'll be fine." Do you want to explain what happens with your spell? Have you made the wisdom save for the HP loss, by the way?
Save against HP loss. It is a 3, so there's no way I'm saving against it.
You permanently lose 3 hit points.
Oh, I love that. Love that for me. That's more than 10% of my current HP max. Yep.
Yeah, this time you fully cough blood as you do this after the spell resolves.
It's bad.
Ilek looks at you, doesn't say anything, but looks with concerned eyes.
But what happens is I do it from a distance, I think. I don't have to be inside the area. I think lines of force are drawn from the vibrating rings of the staff, and they arc out and just sort of they play across space, and behind them is left just the haziest suggestion of shadow or cobweb, and then they move backwards and forwards faster and faster, and they are weaving into existence something solid that is like, at the end of it, something like ceramic or perhaps bone, in smooth abstract shapes that are more or less flat and flush with the wall, but completely different material and texture.
Sure. I will say, probably on the approach, Ilek is going to briefly produce this chrome orb, and when he gets close to Behel, you do hear him kind of whispering into it. Not particularly trying to hide, but kind of seems to need to speak quietly in regard to this thing. But you may catch kind of words of him going like, "Halboosh," blah, 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 blah. You think maybe just heralding your approach so that things don't kick off when you start casting magic on the walls. But I will say, with that, you do return some structure to this place. The number of kind of the gaps and breakages in it are plugged up.
Ailey's not able to form like a parapet or anything, and if there's any kind of internal structures, they're probably just gone. But the basic rectangular geometric shape is just now filled in and solidified with this smooth, pale grey ceramic-like material.
Brilliant. Is there anything else that's happening? By this point as well, people have observed the Thypians are going to be arriving at the periphery of Behel tomorrow, for sure.
That's all I need to do.
Is there anything anyone else is doing in this day?
Just prepping.
Oh, I will raise to Ilek, because he noticed the blood. I will say, with your knowledge of... I'm like... with your knowledge of bodies, can you advise me?
Yes, I would advise you to stop using this if you can. I mean, I understand the circumstances. Know that while I myself tamper with the kind of excessive force upon the body, force of magic upon the body, it is not something that is inherent to magic. There are perfect ways to practice magic that don't harm oneself like this.
Ailey gestures up to the walls and says, "And yet till today, the walls of Behel were cracked and useless."
It's true, there is wisdom in that. But
and
I
in
would
the
hope you
meantime,
wouldn't kill yourself.
have you no prickly boons for me? No aid to your frail apprentice?
I can briefly offset the effects, I think, but nothing permanent without considerable effort. If you leave things there, I think you return to Osiro. If there's nothing else, the day comes to a close, and the day of reckoning is upon you. You wake up early. Kimachet in front of just a perfectly disciplined and neat assemblage of Sethnet, all of them kind of kneeling, their weapon laid before them in rows and rows and rows. You watch as small amounts of clay are placed in front of them, and under your direction you begin to essentially muddy your armour to bring a darkness to it. And as the Oseth muddy themselves, they, along with Ilek, begin to move down the mountain banks, leave Osiro, come to the kind of the far periphery of Behel, and find places amongst the landscape to conceal themselves. It's a very irregular landscape. They can hide behind kind of dips in hills, dig kind of surreptitious, kind of shallow trenches, not surreptitious, inconspicuous, shallow trenches to kind of squat within. What it would look like, you think, to anyone outside is really, if anything, just like with the because as you come down, the guards of Behel have all pulled back to the city. It just looks like a few Oseth poking about because there's been a retraction of the Behel forces. So an outside onlooker might think, oh, they're just poking around because now they've got more room to move around. You said, Shannon, we've got to end at quarter past, right? So if that's the case, one last thing, you also see that these kind of lengthy horns, these kind of tubular horns, have been made from carved from the blood of os fungus, almost kind of didgeridoo length things. Oh, we lost Sam again. Where is everyone going to be in the battle to come? Ilek himself has moved down to be amongst the Oseth. He does ask Barney to be with him, and he speaks. Where's Karilia, can I ask? Kimachet is obviously on the front lines.
Where's Sethnet going to be?
Sethnet himself plans to kind of fight, not on the front lines, but amongst them, which he's fairly insistent with. He has donned kind of a modicum of military garb and has his own sword with him.
See, I feel like you'll feel no grief in killing our characters, but I think I'd be in whatever unit Sethnet is in, so I can try and protect him.
Sure. Sethnet will kind of briefly say, Karilia, I appreciate you being alongside us. Take care of yourself. You are most important to us as someone who can heal the sick and wounded. Don't put yourself at jeopardy. You understand.
Shut
up. Where is Ailey, Grace?
How large is the Oseth strike force?
It's 400 people in total.
So unlikely to fit in a 20-foot radius sphere.
Yeah. Unless you get very creative.
I was thinking to conceal some of them, or all of them, within the effect of my sacred territory.
Oh, okay, yeah, you could certainly do that. I mean, you can say you do that to contribute to people concealing themselves around in the landscape. Yeah, absolutely. So,
or if they have two divisions, I could perhaps hide half of them.
I don't think you'd be able to hide 200 people within one of those.
Wow.
It's kind of divided into groups. Each one is under the authority of a knight, who is in turn under the authority of Kimachet.
Well, then I shall attend Kimachet, and with him I shall... I assume his is the most equipped and most forward position.
I mean, Kimachet is effectively a commander here alongside Sethnet, which means they are alongside Ilek and Barney and Karilia and Ailey. So you may all be together as a party.
Well, a very useful division to be concealing entirely from detection.
Absolutely. Okay. You do see at some points... Shannon, can we push on to 20 past? I'm sorry to push with this. I just really want to get to a slightly climactic point. Brilliant. Okay. At some point, you see that Lola and a group of other kind of particularly kind of muddied up Oseth, the ones that kind of Lola has been taken under a wing, kind of taught to use bows and hunt and operate on the range of lions. At some point, she does come back and report, and you see that she's got some cuts and bruises to her, and speaks of Thippian scouts scouting the landscape, but explains that I don't think anyone ever got a chance to see Lola's abilities because it was Amelia's character, but she has an ability to hypnotize and plant suggestions in people using her kind of botany. And explains that essentially she has been kind of throwing off the scouts probing the area. I'm going to roll now to see how effective she is. She's very effective. She just got a 25. Which has been deflecting around the landscape. You can see some of you from your perch, particularly if Ailey, you're effectively keeping everyone out in the open, but just disguised by the sacred territory. The Thypian banners parked up at the eastern gate. They arrive at about midday and clearly wait there for a while, seeing if the city opens its eastern gates and surrenders, which it does not. As it gets to about evening, kind of anticipation hangs heavy in the air. Some of you begin to see, or all of you will begin to see, smoke rising. Well, you first might think, oh shit, it's in Behel. But actually, further beyond, Barnelect will be probably the first to realise that the Thypians appear to have raised the Beckvi flats. The watered terraces fed by the Zura River that produces finger grain. Ilek does mention kind of seeing this when people realise what's going on. Says maybe half to himself just for his own conviction, but it's intimidation. Gu will have evacuated, kind of turning to Barney, Gu will have evacuated the flats. They're his people. He wouldn't have overlooked protecting them. It's just intimidation.
Then we mustn't be intimidated.
Right, raised as in burnt down.
Yes, it hasn't been.
I thought you meant lifted.
It's not. They haven't picked it up. They haven't picked up water terraces. That would be insane.
That would be hella intimidating.
Yeah, I mean, if they did the thing that Ultron does to that city in Avengers 2, you can just full on run. I don't expect you to participate in this conflict. At this point, unless anyone does anything else, the sun finally sets and darkness begins to take dominion. A waxing half moon dimly illuminates the valley. On the other side of Behel, the still smoking Beckvi flats raise columns of ash to the sky, visible by the orange underglow of the smouldering finger grain fields. There's a strange beauty to this macabre night. You wait for a while, and then, finally, it begins. Steel flashes in the dark at the southwestern gap of Behel's wall, noticed by some of the Oseth, who soon spread the word to others, and 100 blades emerge from the night to fall upon the Behel soldiers posted there. One soldier briefly manages to sound a horn before a pylon thuds into the neck and chokes the sound from his throat. The alert spreads into Behel, and when it reaches the tower, a sound booms like thunder, and for a brief moment, a sphere formed of mighty glass hexagons flickers around that place. It disappears as quick as it appeared, but as it does, single hexagonal plates 10 meters in span appear to block gaps in the wall around the city, behind which Behel soldiers begin to retreat. It holds its form for a moment till it begins the slow process of dying, flickering ever increasingly as it does. Under the faint illumination of the barrier, hundreds of legionnaires form into ranks and begin to place ladders to cross the trenches dug by Behel around these openings and at the sides of Behel's wall. Some begin to climb the walls and steal away into the city, but it is petty few compared to the mass of soldiers forming neat phalanxes before the great southwestern opening. Perhaps in the dark your imagination is adding men, but it looks to be over 1,000 soldiers together. Despite the lack of illumination, the Oseth quickly fall into similarly organised ranks, and the knight leading each peels off a frond wrapping their blade, holding in place the purple pitch spread upon it. Ilek turns to Kimoshet. and speaks. We must hold. We must make sure the Oseth do not move until the barrier goes down. Otherwise, it will be just us and them. You understand?
Yes, men, hold.
You quickly turn and speak for everyone to only move when the horns you have sound. And Ilek adds to the people you've gathered, tell everyone that when their blade is lit to sink it into the ground, lest our enemies see us assembling. We should draw them only when we charge. You understand, Kimichet? Kind of looks to you. I'm going to say that you do. I mean, Harry, you look a bit tired.
Yeah. Sorry, that was me nodding. Was that not visible?
Can you give me a persuasion check on advantage as you try to coherently communicate these orders to your people?
I don't know if I have another dice. Whatever, I'll roll this twice. 16.
Okay.
What's my best?
Cool. While Kimichet passes along these words and attention is turned away from him, Ilek quickly kind of just comes over to you, Ailey. And you see he basically starts undoing his shirt and exposing his chest. It goes, Ailey, in Aban, did you see a golden heart? As he asks this, he's opening a long, thin wooden box from which he pulls a fine needle of chrome.
I say, I saw it beat, and I wondered what form it would take were it allowed to heal.
Would you like to witness that magic in action? He asks. And
Show me
he slowly, kind of concealed from everyone else, inserts the needle into his chest. And grunting and panting, he whispers a few words to it and pulls a wire that he presses kind of into his breast and to the tip of the needle. And there's a brief shock. Pulling the needle free, you see that the puncture remains only for a second before healing itself shut in a blink. And spreading from the heart, his body undergoes a change. His veins bulge and become golden, as do his eyes. He speaks, "Stay near me. I will take care of you." And he extends his six-fingered hand to you, cupping a small bead of chrome suspended on a leather thong. Wear this.
I put it on.
Sure, you put it on. He reaches out to touch it with his other arm, the one he took from Nook, and as his finger comes close, a sliver of lightning leaps to the bead, and this air around you just slightly distorts. He casts mage armor on you. He then turns back to the soldiers and creates fire from this device, which is then used to light the pitched torches of Oseth soldiers that Kimichet has assembled. With these purple burning torches held low to the ground, the torchbearers sprint parallel across the assembled ranks of the Oseth, carrying Ilek's words and Behel's fire. Kapesh's briefly blaze purple in the night before being thrust into the ground to conceal their light. I've rolled a perception for the Thypian soldiers. I'm not going to tell you what it is. The barrier protecting Behel finally flickers out of existence, and the phalanxes of Thype march forth into Behel, and the order comes for Kimichet to begin the charge. And we're going to end there.
You mean I can't do my pre-charge poem?
You can say charge as a poem if you want, but you're gonna have to save that for next time. Anyway, sorry for ending a little late.
You can open next session with it.
Yeah, open next session with a banging poem.
We're starting that. We're starting with the poem next time, all right?
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. All right, I've got to go now. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you had fun. I certainly did. Find out what happens next time. Bye.